The space above Christophus had become a graveyard. Wreckage from Venator-class star destroyers and Separatist frigates tumbled through the void, their hulls torn open by turbo-laser fire and torpedo strikes. Republic and Separatist forces had been locked in brutal combat for 3 days, neither side willing to yield the strategically vital crystal world below. Admiral Wolf Yularen commanded the Republic fleet from the bridge of the Resolute, coordinating with Jedi generals Anakin Skywalker and Obi-Wan Kenobi, who led ground forces against the droid army besieging the capital city. It was a battle like hundreds of others across the galaxy, brutal, grinding, and seemingly endless. Then reality tore open. The rupture appeared without warning, not the controlled blue tunnel of hyperspace emergence, but a jagged wound in space-time itself that screamed across sensor arrays with impossible readings. Energy signatures that matched no known technology flooded detection grids. Spatial dimensions twisted in ways that made navigational computers crash and reboot repeatedly. And through that wound came a ship. The UNSC Infinity emerged into the Star Wars galaxy like a titan stepping into an unfamiliar world. At 5,694 meters in length, the massive warship dwarfed even the Venator-class star destroyers that had been considered massive by Republic standards. Its hull was angular and utilitarian, none of the elegant curves of Republic vessels or the predatory menace of Separatist craft. This was a ship built for one purpose: war on a scale that made the Clone Wars look like skirmishes. Titanium A3 battleplate armor, over 2 meters thick in places, covered the hull in overlapping sections. 4 massive magnetic accelerator cannons, weapons that could hurl 3,000-ton slugs at 4% the speed of light, dominated the forward sections. Hundreds of point defense guns bristled across the surface, and launch bays capable of deploying entire fighter wings stood ready. Energy shielding, technology humanity had reverse-engineered from Forerunner artifacts, flickered to life as the ship's systems automatically responded to the unknown environment. On the bridge, chaos erupted. "Report!" Captain Thomas Lasky commanded, gripping the command chair as the ship's inertial dampeners struggled with the violent transition. Around him, the Infinity's bridge crew, the best the UNSC had to offer, fought to make sense of sensor data that made no sense whatsoever. "Slipspace rupture closed behind us, sir," Commander Sarah Palmer reported from Tactical, her Spartan armor's heads-up display processing data faster than standard consoles. I don't know where we are. Star patterns don't match any known charts. We're not in UNSC space. We're not even in the Milky Way galaxy." "Multiple contacts," Lieutenant Commander Bradley called from sensors. "Massive energy discharges consistent with weapons fire. Sir, we've emerged directly into an active combat zone." "I'm reading. Jesus, hundreds of vessels engaged in fleet action. Technology signatures are completely unknown." Lasky's mind raced through possibilities, each more troubling than the last. The Forerunner artifact they'd been studying had activated during examination, and now they were... where? Another galaxy? Another dimension? And they'd arrived in the middle of someone else's war. "Shields to maximum. All weapon systems hot, but hold fire," Lasky ordered, his command voice steady despite the situation's insanity. "Communications, broadcast on all frequencies, standard first contact protocols. Let them know we mean no harm, but will defend ourselves if engaged." "Aye, sir. Broadcasting now." In the ship's AI core, Roland, the Infinity's smart AI, was processing the situation with computational power that exceeded anything the Star Wars galaxy had encountered. "Captain, analyzing local combat. 2 distinct factions engaged in ship-to-ship warfare. Energy weapon signatures consistent with directed plasma. No kinetic weapons detected. Shield technology present but operating on different principles than our own. And sir, Roland's avatar appeared on Lasky's command display, his World War II RAF officer appearance somehow reassuring despite the crisis. I'm detecting organic life signs on vessels from both factions. These aren't automated drones. These are crewed warships with living beings aboard. Understood. Lasky studied the tactical display, watching red and blue contacts wheel and fire across three-dimensional space. This wasn't his war, wasn't his galaxy, but innocent lives were being lost. The UNSC mandate was clear: protect humanity and its allies. But here, who was human? Who was the enemy? Who deserved protection? The decision was made for him. A wing of Separatist vulture droids, their sensors detecting the massive unknown contact, broke from engaging Republic V-19 Torrent starfighters and vectored toward the Infinity. Their primitive AI processors identified the newcomer as a potential threat that needed assessment. 12 droid fighters accelerated toward the massive vessel, weapons charging. Incoming contacts, Palmer announced. 12 craft, unknown configuration. They're scanning us, moving into attack formation. Lasky's jaw tightened. Warning shots. Point defense only. Show them we're not an easy target, but don't escalate unless they fire first. The Infinity's point defense network responded with surgical precision. 6 M870 Rampart guns targeted the approaching fighters, and brief bursts of 50mm high explosive rounds crossed the void at velocities no Star Wars point defense system could match. The kinetic projectiles, simple metal and explosives, accelerated to incredible speeds, struck 2 vulture droids before they could even process the threat. The impacts were catastrophic. Unlike blaster fire that energy shields could dissipate, the physical rounds punched through the droid's armor like it wasn't there, shredding internal systems and detonating power cores. 2 vulture droids exploded into debris clouds. The remaining 10 opened fire. Plasma cannons, energy weapons that had torn through clone trooper armor and starfighter hulls across 1,000 battles, lanced toward the Infinity. The coordinated barrage would have crippled a Separatist frigate or damaged a Republic cruiser. The Infinity's shields absorbed the impacts without flickering. Energy weapon strikes, Palmer reported, her tone almost dismissive. Shields holding at 98%. Minimal drain. These weapons are less powerful than Covenant plasma torpedoes, significantly less. Lasky processed this information rapidly. Whatever conflict they'd stumbled into, the weapons technology was below UNSC standards, developed through 30 years of warfare against the Covenant. That was simultaneously reassuring and troubling. It meant the Infinity could defend itself, but also that their weapons might be devastatingly overpowered for this environment. Return fire, disable, don't destroy. I want to communicate capability, not start a massacre. The Infinity's point defense network engaged fully. Rampart guns calculated trajectories with AI precision, and a storm of 50mm rounds filled the space around the remaining vulture droids. Unlike the energy weapons both factions were accustomed to, there was no warning flash of charging capacitors, no visible beam to evade, just hypersonic projectiles that arrived before sensors registered their launch. 8 more vulture droids disintegrated under the kinetic barrage. The final 2 broke off, their basic AI recognizing overwhelming superiority and retreating towards Separatist lines with damage reports that would confuse organic commanders for hours. Across both fleets, alarms sounded and sensors struggled to process what had just happened. Aboard the Resolute, Admiral Yularen stared at tactical displays that made no sense. What in the name of the Republic was that? A vessel just appeared from nowhere. No hyperspace signature, no gravitational wake, and destroyed an entire vulture wing in seconds. Weapons technology reads as kinetic projectiles. That's impossible. No one uses kinetic weapons in space warfare. Beside him, Anakin Skywalker felt something through the Force, a disturbance unlike anything he'd experienced. Not dark side, not light side, but an absence where the Force barely touched, like a void in the shape of a massive vessel and the thousands of souls aboard it. "Whatever it is, it's powerful," Anakin said, his mechanical hand flexing unconsciously. "And it doesn't belong here. I can barely sense it through the Force, like it's not entirely real." "Jedi mysticism aside," Yularen replied with the skepticism of a career military officer, "we need to determine if that vessel is Republic, Separatist, or something else entirely. And those weapons, we need to understand what we're dealing with." "Sir, receiving transmission from the unknown vessel," the communications officer announced. "Audio only, unknown language. Running through protocol droids for translation." The bridge speakers crackled to life, and a human voice, speaking perfect galactic basic after Roland's lightning-fast translation protocols, analyzed the local communications, filled the command deck. "Attention all vessels. This is Captain Thomas Lasky of the United Nations Space Command warship Infinity. We have arrived in your space through unforeseen circumstances and mean no harm to any faction. We fired in self-defense only. UNSC protocols require us to protect our vessel and crew, but we seek peaceful contact and information about local space. We are not your enemy. Repeat, we are not your enemy. Please respond on any frequency." The message repeated in a dozen languages as Roland rapidly decoded local communications protocols, broadcasting on every channel both fleets used. Silence fell across both Republic and Separatist command decks as beings from a galactic civilization tried to process the implications. A vessel from beyond their galaxy, from something called the United Nations Space Command, had just appeared in their space with weapons technology they couldn't understand and power they couldn't match. Aboard the Separatist command ship, General Grievous studied sensor data with 4 eyes that gleamed with predatory interest. The cyborg general had killed enough Jedi to recognize when something unprecedented entered the battlefield. This ship, this Infinity, represented technology beyond current Republic or Separatist capability. Technology that could shift the war's balance. "Contact Count Dooku immediately," Grievous rasped through his vocabulator. "Tell him we have encountered something interesting and prepare boarding parties. I want that ship's technology analyzed. If we cannot negotiate for it, we will take it by force." Deep in the Infinity's interior, in the Spartan deployment bay, Master Chief Petty Officer John 117 stood with Blue Team, the Spartans who had fought beside him for decades. His Mjolnir Gen 3 armor systems had detected the emergency transition, the weapon's fire, and now displayed tactical data about their situation. Fred 104, Linda 058, and Kelly 087 checked their weapons with the practiced efficiency of soldiers who had faced extinction and survived. Around them, other Spartan fire teams prepared for deployment. Fire Team Osiris, Fire Team Majestic, and dozens of others. The Infinity carried the largest concentration of Spartan Threws ever assembled, along with multiple Spartan Twos, an entire army of super soldiers trained to fight impossible odds. "Chief," Commander Palmer's voice came through his helmet comm. "Captain Lasky wants Spartans ready for ground deployment. We don't know what we're walking into, but sensors show massive ground combat on the planet below. Looks like an invasion or siege situation. Thousands of combatants, multiple factions." "Understood," Chief replied, his voice carrying the calm that had seen him through 30 years of warfare. Blue Team is ready for deployment on your order. Mission parameters: reconnaissance and civilian protection if possible, Palmer responded. We're not taking sides in someone else's war, but if there are innocents caught in the crossfire, UNSC protocols apply. Assess, adapt, and keep our people safe. Standard Spartan operations. Chief checked his MA-5D assault rifle, the familiar weight of a weapon that fired simple metal rounds. No energy cells or complex technology required. Beside him, Linda checked her SRS-99S5 sniper rifle. Fred loaded his M6 Magnum, and Kelly triple-checked her thruster pack. They'd fought Covenant, Flood, and Created. Whatever this galaxy offered, they'd face it together. Blue Team, Chief addressed his oldest friends, his family. New galaxy, new war, same mission. Protect the innocent and complete the objective. Whatever we find down there, we face it like we've faced everything else, together. Affirmative, Fred replied. Always, Linda added. Let's show them what Spartans can do, Kelly finished with the slight edge of excitement that even decades of combat hadn't dulled. On the planet below, clone troopers and battle droids continued their grinding warfare, completely unaware that beings called Spartans, soldiers who made even ARC troopers look like cadets, were about to enter their battlefield. And in the shadows of Coruscant, far from Christophsis, Darth Sidious felt a disturbance in the Force. Something had entered the galaxy, something his visions hadn't predicted, something that existed partially outside the Force's sight, like a blind spot in his carefully orchestrated plans. The Sith Lord's yellow eyes narrowed with interest and concern. Variables he hadn't accounted for were dangerous, but they also presented opportunities for those clever enough to exploit them. The UNSC had arrived in the Star Wars galaxy, and neither the Republic, the Separatists, nor the Sith truly understood what that meant. But they were about to learn what happened when soldiers trained to fight extinction-level threats entered a galactic civil war. If you want to see more characters enter the Star Wars galaxy, hit that subscribe button and drop the name of a character you'd want to see in the comments below. May the Force be with you. The Republic Command Center on Christophsis occupied what remained of a luxury hotel overlooking the Crystal Canyons. Clone troopers had fortified the structure with portable shields and heavy weapons emplacements, but 3 days of constant Separatist artillery had reduced the elegant building to functional rubble. Inside, Jedi Generals Obi-Wan Kenobi and Anakin Skywalker studied holographic tactical displays showing the deteriorating situation. The eastern perimeter is collapsing, Obi-Wan observed, stroking his beard with concern. Commander Cody's forces are holding, but barely. We're outnumbered 3-1, and General Grievous has committed additional droid divisions. Without reinforcements, we'll be forced to evacuate within 24 hours. Anakin paced with barely contained frustration, his mechanical hand clenching repeatedly. We can't abandon Christophsis. The Separatists will use it as a staging ground for attacks deeper into Republic space. We need to— General Skywalker, a clone communications officer interrupted urgently. Sir, we're receiving a transmission from the unknown vessel that appeared in orbit. Both Jedi turned to the communications station. Obi-Wan nodded. Put it through. The holographic projector flickered to life, displaying not the usual blue-tinted image, but a surprisingly clear full-color representation of a human male in an unfamiliar military uniform. His bearing screamed career officer, confidence tempered by caution, authority earned rather than assumed. This is Captain Thomas Lasky of the UNSC Infinity, the figure began without preamble. We've monitored your ground situation and detected significant civilian populations caught in the combat zone. UNSC protocols require us to offer humanitarian assistance to non-combatants trapped in war zones. We have medical facilities, evacuation capability, and—" he paused, as if carefully choosing words, "military assets capable of providing support if requested." Anakin and Obi-Wan exchanged glances. The Force whispered warnings about this newcomer, not danger exactly, but profound uncertainty. This Captain Lasky was human, but from where? His ship used technology unlike anything in Republic or Separatist arsenals, and he was offering help to a side he had no reason to support. "Captain Lasky," Obi-Wan responded with diplomatic courtesy, "I am Jedi General Obi-Wan Kenobi of the Galactic Republic. We appreciate your offer, but we know nothing about you, your organization, or your intentions. Perhaps you could explain how a vessel we've never encountered arrived in Republic space during an active military engagement." Lasky's expression showed understanding of the skepticism. "General Kenobi, the honest answer is we don't fully know ourselves. We were conducting research in deep space when an artifact activated and transported our vessel across dimensional or interstellar barriers. Our navigation data suggests we're not even in our home galaxy anymore. We're as confused about our situation as you are about our arrival." "Dimensional travel?" Anakin interjected, his tactical mind already considering implications. "That's not possible. Hyperspace allows faster than light travel, but crossing between dimensions, that's pure theory." "It was theory for us too until an hour ago," Lasky replied dryly. "But that's our situation. We're military personnel from an organization called the United Nations Space Command. We're far from home, and we're trying to understand where we are and how to conduct ourselves appropriately. When we detected combat below, our AI identified civilian thermal signatures in the combat zones. The UNSC doesn't abandon civilians to die in crossfire, regardless of what galaxy we're in." Obi-Wan felt a resonance of truth in Lasky's words, not through deception or manipulation, but genuine conviction. This was a soldier who believed what he said, commanded by principles that valued innocent life. The Force itself seemed to confirm the sincerity, even if the beings aboard that ship remained strangely muted in the Force. "Your offer is generous," Obi-Wan said carefully, "but you should understand the situation. We represent the Galactic Republic, engaged in civil war against Separatist forces. The planet below is contested territory. Providing aid to Republic forces could draw you into conflict with our enemies." "General," Lasky's voice took on a harder edge, "the UNSC spent 30 years fighting a war of extinction against an alien alliance that glassed our colonies and killed billions of our people. We've faced galactic threats most civilizations can't imagine. A civil war, however large, doesn't intimidate us. What matters is whether civilians need protection, do they?" Anakin couldn't suppress a slight grin at the captain's directness. Finally, someone who spoke plainly, instead of dancing around with diplomatic language. "Yeah, they do. Thousands of refugees trapped in the capital city. The Separatists are shelling indiscriminately, and we don't have the forces to both defend our lines and evacuate civilians." "Then we'll handle evacuation," Lasky stated. "I'm deploying ground forces to secure civilian extraction zones and transport them to safety. Our Pelican dropships can extract hundreds at a time under fire. We've done this before." "Captain," Obi-Wan interjected with gentle warning, "our enemy employs advanced battle droids and heavy vehicles. Your forces may be unprepared for—" "General Kenobi," Lasky interrupted, and something in his voice made both Jedi pause. "I'm deploying Spartans. They've fought worse than battle droids. Trust me." Before Obi-Wan could ask what Spartans were, the transmission cut to tactical data. A new contact appeared on their holographic display, a dropship design unlike any Republic or Separatist craft, descending from the infinity toward the planet's surface. Multiple dropships moving in tight formation with electronic warfare signatures that confused Separatist targeting systems. "Sir," Commander Cody's voice crackled over the command channel, "we have unknown aircraft entering atmosphere. Multiple craft, unknown configuration. They're broadcasting friendly IFF codes, but not Republic signatures. Orders?" Obi-Wan made a decision that went against his usual caution, but the Force and 3 decades of trusting his instincts pushed him forward. "Stand down. They're allies, I think. Monitor their approach, but do not engage unless they demonstrate hostile intent." "Copy that, sir. Standing by." The Pelican dropships cut through Christophsis's atmosphere with precision that would have impressed even clone pilots. Inside the lead Pelican, Master Chief stood in the troop bay with Blue Team and Fire Team Osiris, 8 Spartans total, an overwhelming force by UNSC standards. Around them, ODST Helljumpers, orbital drop shock troopers, humanity's elite conventional forces, checked their weapons and prepared for hot insertion. "Approaching LZ," the Pelican pilot announced. Thermal imaging shows approximately 2,000 civilian signatures concentrated in the city's commercial district. Hostile contacts looks like battle droids based on the heat signatures in significant numbers. "We'll have company the moment we touch down." Chief checked his motion tracker, a piece of technology that had saved his life countless times across 3 decades. Red dots already appeared on the display, marking hostile contacts moving toward the landing zone. Dozens of them. Whatever these battle droids were, they'd detected the incoming dropships. "Standard insertion protocol," Chief ordered, his voice cutting across the squad channel. "Blue Team secures the landing zone. Osiris establishes perimeter and begins civilian evacuation. ODSTs provide fire support and crowd control. Rules of engagement, hostile contacts only. We're here to extract civilians, not win the ground war." "Affirmative," came the unified response from 8 Spartans who had fought impossible odds and survived. The Pelican's rear hatch opened as it descended, giving Chief his first view of this new galaxy. Christophsis spread below, a world of massive crystals and elegant architecture now scarred by war. Smoke rose from dozens of impact sites. Artillery flashed in the distance, and across the urban landscape, 2 armies clashed with technology he'd never seen. Energy weapons, blaster bolts, red and blue, streaked through the air in quantities that made Covenant plasma fire look conservative. But these weapons seemed less powerful, more numerous. Saturation fire instead of precision devastation. "Contacts!" Linda called out, her sniper rifle already tracking targets through the Pelican's open hatch. "Multiple hostiles, humanoid configuration, moving in formation. They've spotted us." Below, a company of B-1 battle droids marched toward the landing zone with the mechanical precision of programmed units. Their visual sensors registered the unknown aircraft, and tactical programming written by Separatist engineers who'd never encountered UNSC technology classified the craft as hostile Republic transports. "Roger, Roger," the battle droid's vocabulators chirped in unison. "Unidentified aircraft detected. Open fire." 100 E5 blaster rifles raised as one and opened fire. Red blaster bolts streaked toward the descending Pelicans in a coordinated barrage that would have shredded Republic LAAT gunships. The Spartans responded with kinetic precision. Linda's SRS-99 S5 sniper rifle cracked once, the distinctive sound of a 14.5mm armor-piercing round, leaving the barrel at supersonic velocity. The shot crossed 800 meters in under a second and struck a B-1 battle droid In its central processor, the droid's head, designed to resist blaster fire and electromagnetic pulses, exploded like cheap plastic under the kinetic impact. The headless machine collapsed, its programming unable to compensate for complete decapitation. "Confirmed kill," Linda reported with professional detachment. "These droids have minimal armor. Standard AP rounds are effective." Kelly and Fred opened fire with their MA-5D assault rifles. The weapons roared, a sound foreign to this galaxy, where energy weapons discharged with hums and electronic whines. 30 rounds per second of 7.62mm armor-piercing ammunition tore into the battle droid formation at velocities that made blaster bolts look slow. The effect was devastating. B-1 battle droids, designed to withstand blaster impacts and electromagnetic warfare, had no defense against physical projectiles traveling at 2,000 meters per second. Arms separated from torsos, legs shattered under impact. Processors sparked and failed as bullets punched through armor that energy shields would have partially deflected. In 5 seconds, 8 Spartans had destroyed 40 battle droids. The remaining droids, their basic AI struggling to process casualties from weapons they didn't understand, scattered for cover. "LZ is hot," the Pelican pilot called, bringing the dropship down hard in the plaza. "Go, go, go!" Master Chief was first off the ramp, his boots hitting crystal pavement with a force that cracked the decorative surface. His motion tracker lit up with hostile contacts. More droids converging on their position from multiple vectors. Standard UNSC tactics applied. Secure the perimeter, establish a defensive position, complete the objective. "Blue team, hold this position," Chief ordered. "Osiris, begin extraction operations. Civilians first." Behind him, ODSTs deployed with the practiced efficiency of soldiers who'd conducted combat extractions on dozens of worlds. They moved in fire teams, weapons covering all approaches, while medics began scanning for injured civilians. The battle droids attacked with numerical superiority but no tactical flexibility. They advanced in straight lines, firing blaster bolts that impacted Spartan energy shields with minimal effect. The Mjolnir armor's shields, designed to withstand Covenant plasma rifles and energy swords, barely registered the comparatively weak blaster fire. Chief raised his MA-5D and fired controlled bursts. Each burst was 3 rounds. Each burst dropped a battle droid. The weapon's digital ammo counter ticked down. 32, 29, 26, 23. 40 years of combat experience translated into pure efficiency. Kelly moved like lightning, literally. Her enhanced speed, already superhuman from Spartan augmentations, was multiplied by Mjolnir armor's strength enhancements. She crossed 50 meters in under 3 seconds, closing with a squad of battle droids before they could adjust fire. An energy sword, a weapon taken from a Covenant elite decades ago, ignited in her hand, and she cut through 4 droids before their processors registered her presence. Fred threw a frag grenade with Spartan precision. The explosive arced over a crystal formation and detonated in the middle of a droid formation. Unlike plasma grenades that relied on heat and electromagnetic pulses, the frag grenade was simple kinetics, metal fragments moving at lethal velocities. 6 droids fell to shrapnel damage their designers had never anticipated, and Linda, positioned on a rooftop with her sniper rifle, picked off targets with methodical calm. 1 shot, 1 kill. Her motion tracker identified priority targets, droids with heavier weapons, units attempting to flank, and eliminated them before they could threaten the extraction zone. "Civilian contact," Spartan Locke from Osiris reported. "Multiple Twi'leks and humans, approximately 300 in this sector. They're terrified but mobile. Beginning extraction." The civilians, beings who had endured 3 days of bombardment and ground combat, stared in shock at the armored giants who moved with impossible speed and precision. These weren't clone troopers in white armor. These weren't Jedi with lightsabers. These were something else entirely. "Please remain calm," an ODST medic announced through his helmet's external speakers, the translator protocols rendering his English into galactic basic. "We're here to evacuate you to safety. Follow our personnel to the extraction craft. You're safe now." Safe. The word seemed impossible after days of terror. But these soldiers, these Spartans, moved with such absolute confidence, such overwhelming combat superiority, that hope began to replace fear. A super battle droid significantly more durable than the standard B-1 models emerged from cover and opened fire with its wrist-mounted blasters. The heavier weapons actually managed to drain a small percentage of Chief's shields, the first enemy fire to accomplish even that much. Chief targeted the super battle droid with tactical precision. 3 rounds to the chest armor, minimal effect. 1 round to the head processor. The droid staggered but remained functional. These units had better armor, better programming. So Chief adjusted tactics. He fired a sustained burst at the droid's knee joint, the thinnest armor point. The joint shattered under kinetic impact, and the super battle droid collapsed. Before it could attempt to continue firing from the ground, Chief closed the distance and physically crushed its head processor with his armored boot. Simple. Effective. "These droids are tactically unsophisticated," Fred observed, dropping another squad with precise rifle fire. "Linear tactics, predictable movement patterns, no adaptive programming. They're like early-generation Covenant grunts, dangerous in numbers but easy to outthink." "Agreed," Chief replied. "Focus on extraction. Let them come to us." For the next 20 minutes, 8 Spartans and 40 ODSTs held a perimeter against hundreds of battle droids, while Pelican dropships ferried civilians to safety. The UNSC forces operated with efficiency that stunned observers. Clone troopers watching from nearby positions saw soldiers who moved like Jedi but fought with pure tactical excellence, who used weapons that should have been primitive but cut through droid formations like they were made of flimsy plast. High above, in a Republic gunship circling the extraction zone, Clone Commander Cody watched the operation with professional appreciation and growing concern. "Commander Kenobi, you need to see this. Those Spartans Lasky mentioned, sir, they're unlike anything I've encountered. They move faster than even ARC troopers. They're shrugging off fire that would drop our men and their weapons." He paused, watching Linda eliminate 3 droids with 3 shots in under 2 seconds. "Their weapons are devastatingly effective if these soldiers decided to turn hostile." Obi-Wan's voice came through with characteristic calm despite underlying concern. "I sense no hostile intent, Cody, but you're right to be cautious. These Spartans are warriors of exceptional capability. Make note of their tactics. We may be working with them more closely before this is over." On the ground, Master Chief coordinated the final evacuation wave when his motion tracker registered something new, a single contact moving too fast to be a standard battle droid, moving with purpose, moving with intelligence. "Contact high-value target," Chief announced. "Fast mover approaching from the northwest. All units, weapons hot." From the crystal canyons emerged a figure that made even Spartans pause. General Grievous, the Separatists' most feared commander, advanced with 4 lightsabers ignited, blue and green blades taken from Jedi he'd killed. The cyborg general's yellow eyes fixed on the armored soldiers who had devastated his droid forces, and something like anticipation flickered in his electronic brain. "Ah," Grievous rasped through his vocabulator, his mechanical body rotating in ways that would have been impossible for organic beings. New soldiers, new prey, new lightsabers for my collection. You are formidable, but I am Grievous. I have killed 200 Jedi. I will kill you as well. Master Chief raised his assault rifle, targeting the cyborg with the same calm he'd brought to facing Covenant zealots, flood-pure forms, and Promethean knights. "Try it," was all he said. The battle between a Spartan II and a Jedi killer was about to begin. General Grievous had killed Jedi through speed, unpredictability, and the psychological advantage of being something they'd never fought before, a non-force sensitive who wielded lightsabers with cybernetic precision. He'd learned to exploit the Jedi's reliance on force precognition by moving erratically, attacking from impossible angles with forearms and using fear as a weapon. Master Chief had fought for 40 years against enemies who moved faster, hit harder, and were often more numerous. He'd killed Covenant elites in close combat, survived flood infection forms, and dismantled Promethean knights with his bare hands. Fear was just another variable in the tactical equation. "Blue team, maintain perimeter," Chief ordered, his voice absolutely calm despite facing a four-armed cyborg with 4 lightsabers. "Continue civilian extraction. I'll handle this." "Chief," Fred began. "That's an order." Grievous laughed, a mechanical rasping sound. "Brave. Foolish, but brave. Your soldiers abandon you to face me alone. Do you not know what I am? I am the Jedi killer. I am death in Durasteel. I am..." Chief fired 3 rounds from his MA-5D, grouped in a triangle pattern aimed at Grievous's torso. The shots crossed 30 meters in a fraction of a second. No charge-up time, no visible energy signature, just hypersonic metal moving faster than most beings could track. Grievous's combat programming reacted with inhuman speed. One lightsaber sweeping up to intercept. The plasma blade, which could cut through nearly any material, struck the first bullet. The kinetic projectile, traveling at over 2,000 meters per second, punched through the lightsaber's containment field like it wasn't there. The bullet's momentum was partially deflected, sending it ricocheting off Grievous's chest armor with a metallic clang that left a visible dent. The second and third rounds hit before Grievous could adjust. One struck his left shoulder joint, cracking the Durasteel housing. The other grazed his neck assembly, severing a hydraulic line. Clear fluid sprayed from the damaged connection. The cyborg general staggered back, his yellow eyes wide with shock. In hundreds of battles, no enemy had drawn first blood so easily. "What? Your weapon? It penetrates lightsaber defense. Impossible." "Kinetic projectiles," Chief stated, already calculating his next move. His motion tracker showed Grievous's heat signature. The organic components in the cyborg body provided enough thermal variation for detection. "Your energy blades don't stop physical mass. Tactical weakness identified." Grievous's shock transformed into rage. "Weakness? I'll show you weakness." He launched forward with the enhanced speed his cybernetic body provided. 4 lightsabers spinning in patterns designed to create an impenetrable offense. He'd used this technique to overwhelm Jedi Masters, cutting through their defenses with pure aggression. Chief's Spartan reflexes kicked in. He'd fought elites with energy swords, warriors bred for combat who moved with alien grace and superhuman strength. Grievous was fast, but not faster than a Sangheili zealot. Chief Dove left, his thruster pack providing a burst of lateral movement that carried him out of the lightsaber arc. He rolled, came up, and fired another burst. Grievous deflected 2 rounds, but the third struck his right knee joint, punching through the thinner armor and damaging servos. The cyborg's leg buckled slightly. "You cannot run forever," Grievous snarled, pressing the attack. 2 lightsabers struck high, too low, creating a killing pattern that had decapitated Jedi Knights. Chief didn't run, he engaged. His armor's energy shields flared as one lightsaber made glancing contact. The plasma blade burned through the shield's outer layer with disturbing ease. These energy weapons were more effective against shields than their blasters had been. But unlike most opponents Grievous faced, Chief's shields regenerated. Chief grabbed Grievous's lower right arm mid-swing, the Mjolnir armor's strength enhancement allowing him to grip the cyborg's limb and hold it. Grievous's eyes widened again as he realized this armored soldier had the physical strength to grapple with his cybernetic body. Impossible. No organic has the strength to... Chief drove his other fist into Grievous's chest plate with Spartan-enhanced strength. The impact dented the armor and sent the cyborg staggering backward, 3 of his 4 lightsabers swinging wildly to force separation. Enhanced physiology, Chief explained, his tactical assessment ongoing even mid-combat. Augmented skeletal structure, muscular enhancements, powered armor force multiplication. I'm not organic standard. Grievous separated, his mechanical brain processing this new threat profile. This soldier was stronger than expected, faster than his bulk suggested, and fought with absolutely no fear. The psychological tactics that worked on Jedi, the intimidation, the unexpected movements, accomplished nothing against an opponent who treated combat as pure mathematics. "What are you?" Grievous demanded, circling for a better angle. "Spartan," Chief replied, and opened fire again. This time Grievous was ready, all 4 lightsabers moving in defensive patterns. Most of the rounds were deflected or intercepted, but the sheer rate of fire, 30 rounds per second, meant some got through. One struck Grievous's left arm, another grazed his torso, a third hit his right leg. The cyborg general was accumulating damage faster than in any fight since his confrontation with Mace Windu. His tactical programming recognized the threat level. This opponent was lethal, well-armed and tactically superior. Retreat was logical, but Grievous's pride, the remnant of Chumain Jai Shilal's warrior code, refused to accept defeat from an unknown soldier. "I have killed Jedi Masters," he roared, charging again with all 4 lightsabers in a spinning cyclone of plasma death. Chief's motion tracker gave him split-second warning. He activated his thruster pack at full power, launching himself upward and backward in a maneuver that would have been impossible without Spartan reflexes and Mjolnir coordination. The lightsabers passed beneath him, missing by centimeters. While airborne, Chief fired a burst directly down at Grievous's exposed back. 3 rounds struck the cyborg's spine housing, the most heavily armored part of his torso, but still vulnerable to concentrated kinetic impact. The armor cracked. Internal damage warnings flooded Grievous's processors. Chief landed, rolled, and came up with his rifle trained on the cyborg. "Stand down, you're outmatched." Grievous wheezed, an organic sound from his damaged respiratory system. His back sparked from internal damage. 2 of his limbs showed reduced mobility from joint damage. Against any other opponent, he would have disengaged, called for droid reinforcements, lived to fight another day. But he was Grievous. He did not retreat from challenges. Never! The cyborg general triggered his final advantage. Pure speed. His cybernetic body could move faster than most organic beings could track. 4 arms attacking from 4 angles simultaneously, lightsabers creating a web of plasma that no defense could stop. Chief's shields flared under multiple strikes. They were dropping fast, faster than against Covenant weapons. Lightsabers were dangerous to Mjolnir shields. In a way, blasters weren't. But shields bought seconds, and seconds were enough. Chief dropped his rifle. It was empty anyway, the ammo counter at 0. In one fluid motion, he drew his M6 Magnum sidearm and fired point-blank into Grievous's chest plate. The heavier handgun round, designed to penetrate Covenant combat shields at close range, punched through the damaged chest armor and struck something vital. Grievous staggered, hydraulic fluid and lubricant spraying from the wound. One of his hearts, the biological components keeping him alive, had been nicked by shrapnel. His vision flickered, systems failed. But even damaged, even dying, Grievous was dangerous. He lunged forward with 2 lightsabers aimed at Chief's helmet, a killing strike that had ended dozens of Jedi. Kelly 087 hit Grievous from the side at full Spartan speed, the impact of a half-ton of armored super soldier moving at 60 kilometers per hour was equivalent to being struck by a small vehicle. Grievous flew sideways, crashed through a crystal formation, and tumbled across the plaza. "No one touches Chief," Kelly stated. Her energy soared, igniting with the distinctive shimmer of Covenant technology. Grievous struggled to rise, his body failing, systems shutting down. But his mechanical voice still functioned. "What are you? You fight like Jedi, but you're not Force users." "We're Spartans," Fred said, moving to flank with his own assault rifle trained. "And you're done." Linda's sniper rifle cracked from her Overwatch position. The 14.5mm round struck Grievous's right arm joint, severing it completely. The limb fell, still gripping 2 lightsabers that deactivated upon losing contact. "Target neutralized," Linda reported clinically. "Recommend immediate secured extraction before hostiles reinforce." Grievous lay in the rubble, his enhanced body broken, his pride shattered worse than his armor. He'd faced Jedi Masters, Count Dooku, even briefly dueled Mace Windu and survived. But these soldiers, these Spartans, had systematically dismantled him with tactics he couldn't counter and weapons he couldn't defend against. "Finish it," Grievous rasped. "I am defeated. Give me warrior's death." Chief reloaded his Magnum with practiced efficiency, the fresh magazine sliding home with a satisfying click. He stood over the fallen cyborg general, weapon trained, but didn't fire. "Negative. You're a prisoner of war. UNSC protocols apply. Defeated enemies receive medical treatment and due process. You'll be turned over to Republic authorities for proper handling." "Mercy?" Grievous's vocabulator made the word sound alien. "From soldiers. I am war criminal. I have killed hundreds." "Not my call," Chief replied. "My job is mission completion and protecting my team. You're neutralized. That's sufficient." Through his damaged processors, Grievous felt something he hadn't experienced in years. Respect. These Spartans fought with honor despite overwhelming superiority. They offered mercy to a defeated enemy despite his atrocities. They were what he'd once been before Dooku's manipulation and cybernetic transformation, warriors with principles. "Your name, Spartan, I will remember if I survive." "John 117, Chief said. "Master Chief Petty Officer, United Nations Space Command." "Kimayan Jai Shilal," Grievous replied, using his birth name for the first time in years. "Once, warrior of Kaylee, now, this broken machine. You have defeated me, John 117. I accept this." The sound of approaching engines interrupted the moment. Republic gunships descended into the plaza, and from them emerged clone troopers led by Commander Cody, their weapons trained but not firing. Behind them came 2 figures in Jedi robes, Obi-Wan Kenobi and Anakin Skywalker. "Stand down," Obi-Wan commanded the clone troopers, though his eyes never left the Spartans. Through the Force, he felt their presence more clearly now, not absent like before, but muted, as if they existed partially outside the Force's sight. And their combat capability, He'd witnessed the entire fight through Cody's combat recorder. These Spartans had defeated General Grievous, one of the most dangerous beings in the galaxy, in under 3 minutes. Anakin stared at the downed cyborg general with barely concealed shock. You actually beat Grievous. The Jedi Council has been trying to capture or kill him for years. How did you? Superior tactics and appropriate force application, Chief replied, his tone purely professional. Your enemy relies on intimidation and overwhelming offense. We countered with disciplined fire, tactical adaptation, and coordinated team action. Standard Spartan operations. Standard, Anakin repeated, looking at the damaged cyborg who had killed countless Jedi. Right. Standard. Obi-Wan approached more cautiously, his diplomatic instincts engaged despite his combat training, screaming warnings about how dangerous these Spartans were. Master Chief, I am Jedi General Obi-Wan Kenobi. On behalf of the Galactic Republic, I thank you for the civilian evacuation and for neutralizing General Grievous. Your assistance has been invaluable. Mission parameters included civilian protection, Chief replied. Grievous threatened that mission. He's your prisoner now. We have more civilians to extract. Yes, of course, Obi-Wan said, though his mind raced with questions. These soldiers had appeared from nowhere, deployed with technology beyond Republic capability, defeated one of the war's most dangerous commanders, and now wanted to simply continue their rescue operation as if this was routine. Perhaps after the evacuation is complete, we could speak more formally. Your Captain Lasky mentioned seeking information about local space. We can provide that and discuss possible cooperation. Chief's helmet turned toward Obi-Wan, the golden visor revealing nothing. But behind that visor, John 1:17 made calculations. These Jedi seemed honorable. They valued civilian life, they operated with military discipline, and they offered information exchange rather than immediate hostility. The Republic might be a faction the UNSC could work with, at least until they understood this galaxy better. Agreed, Chief said. Blue Team will complete extraction operations. Then we'll coordinate with your command structure. But understand, we're not joining your war. We're protecting civilians until we can find a way home. That's all we ask, Obi-Wan replied, though privately he wondered if these Spartans realized how difficult remaining neutral in the Clone Wars would be. The galaxy had a way of forcing everyone to choose sides. As clone troopers secured Grievous and Spartans resumed civilian evacuation, Anakin pulled Obi-Wan aside. Master, did you feel them through the Force? It's like they're there, but not there. Not dark side, not light side, just different. I felt it, Obi-Wan confirmed quietly. They exist partially outside the Force's sight, Anakin. I have never encountered anything like it. These Spartans are powerful warriors from beyond our galaxy, with technology we don't understand and capabilities that rival Jedi. They could tip the balance of this war if they chose to involve themselves. Or they could become a threat if we mishandle first contact, Anakin added, his tactical mind already working through scenarios. Precisely, which is why we treat them as potential allies, share information carefully, and hope that their principles align with ours. Obi-Wan watched Master Chief coordinate with his team, the armored giant moving with efficiency that made even ARC troopers look clumsy. The Force has brought something unprecedented into our war, Anakin. Whether that's blessing or curse remains to be seen. High above Christophsis, aboard the UNSC Infinity, Captain Lasky reviewed combat reports with Commander Palmer and AI Roland. The holographic display showed tactical data from the ground operation. 8 Spartans and 40 ODSTs had evacuated over 3,000 civilians, neutralized hundreds of battle droids, and captured a high-value enemy commander with 0 friendly casualties. Spartans continue to exceed expectations, Palmer noted with pride. Chief took down their general in close combat. These locals have no idea what they're dealing with. That concerns me, Lasky admitted. We're demonstrating capabilities that could make us a target for both sides. If this Republic or the Separatists decide they want our technology badly enough, they'll learn why you don't mess with the UNSC, Palmer finished confidently. Sir, Roland interrupted, his RAF officer avatar appearing on the command display. I've been analyzing local communications and data networks. This conflict, the Clone Wars, is massive in scope. Thousands of star systems involved, billions of combatants, technology that's impressive but operates on completely different principles than ours. And there's something else. The AI paused, unusual for an entity that processed information in nanoseconds. I'm detecting patterns in the conflict's progression. Both sides make decisions that seem strategically questionable, as if someone is deliberately prolonging the war rather than seeking victory. It's subtle, but the pattern is there. Lasky leaned forward, his command instincts triggering. Manipulation, someone orchestrating both sides. Possibly, I need more data to confirm, but yes, that's my assessment. This war may not be what it appears to be. Then we stay neutral, Lasky decided. Continue humanitarian operations, share minimal tactical information, and figure out what's really happening before we commit to either side. We've seen what happens when military forces get drawn into local conflicts without understanding the full picture. We won't repeat those mistakes. Agreed, sir, Palmer said. I'll brief the Spartan teams. Protect civilians, gather intel, avoid political entanglements. As the Infinity's command crew planned their next moves, the Jedi Council on Coruscant held an emergency session via hologram to discuss the unprecedented arrivals. Yoda, Mace Windu, Ki-Adi-Mundi, and others debated what these Spartans meant for the war and the galaxy. Powerful they are, Yoda observed, his ancient eyes troubled. Outside the Force, yet formidable. Defeated Grievous, they did. Concerned, we must be. Concerned but not hostile, Mace Windu cautioned. They fought to protect civilians, not for territory or power. Their principles seem aligned with ours. For now, Ki-Adi-Mundi added, but they're soldiers from another galaxy with loyalty to something called the UNSC. What happens when their interests conflict with the Republic's? The question hung in the air, unanswered, as both the Jedi and the UNSC leadership grappled with the same fundamental problem. How do you navigate alliance and trust when neither side fully understands the other? And in the shadows of Coruscant, Darth Sidious smiled. New variables could be dangerous, yes, but they could also be opportunities for those clever enough to exploit them. These Spartans were powerful, outside his direct manipulation, but not beyond influence. After all, the dark side worked through fear, anger, and desperation, and soldiers far from home, trapped in an unfamiliar galaxy, would eventually feel all three. The game had changed, but Sidious was confident he could still control the board. He just needed to be patient. The UNSC Infinity's briefing room was designed for efficiency rather than elegance. Angular surfaces, holographic displays, seating that accommodated both standard personnel and Spartans in full armor. Captain Lasky stood at the head of the conference table, with Commander Palmer to his right and AI Roland's avatar projected beside them. Across from them sat two figures who represented a galactic civilization, Jedi General Obi-Wan Kenobi and Jedi General Anakin Skywalker. The Jedi had boarded the Infinity via Republic shuttle, and their journey through the massive warship's corridors had been educational. They'd passed entire Pelican squadrons in launch bays, that dwarfed Republic hangar facilities. They'd seen Marines drilling with weapons that fired physical projectiles, an anachronism in a galaxy that had abandoned kinetic weapons millennia ago. They'd felt the ship's power through the Force, not the mystical energy of kyber crystals or the dark resonance of Sith alchemy, but pure industrial might channeled through technology neither Jedi fully understood. And they'd seen Spartans, dozens of them, armored giants who moved through the ship's corridors with purpose and discipline that made even clone commandos look undisciplined by comparison. "Thank you for agreeing to meet," Lasky began, his command presence filling the room despite being significantly less physically imposing than the Jedi. "I understand this situation is unprecedented for both our organizations. A military vessel from another galaxy appearing in your space, demonstrating unfamiliar technology and immediately involving itself in your ground operations. You have questions. So do we." Obi-Wan nodded, his diplomatic training serving him well, despite the strangeness of circumstances. "Indeed, perhaps we should begin with the most fundamental question. What is the United Nations Space Command, and where exactly do you come from?" Lasky gestured to Roland, and the AI activated holographic displays showing star charts that made both Jedi lean forward with intense interest. "The UNSC is humanity's unified military force, established after centuries of internal conflict. We come from a galaxy approximately 2.5 million light-years from here, what you might know as one of the satellite galaxies, though our designation is simply the Milky Way." 2.5 million light-years, Anakin repeated, his mechanical hand unconsciously flexing. Hyperspace couldn't cover that distance, not in any practical time frame. "How did you arrive here?" "We don't fully know," Lasky admitted, displaying tactical honesty that Obi-Wan appreciated. "We were studying a Forerunner artifact, technology from a precursor civilization that existed millions of years before humanity when it activated unexpectedly. The artifact created what our science teams are calling a dimensional bridge. Not faster than light travel through normal space, but a rupture between realities or possibly dimensions. We emerged here." "Dimensional travel," Obi-Wan mused, stroking his beard thoughtfully. "Theoretically possible according to some Force philosophies, but I've never heard of technology accomplishing it. This Forerunner civilization, they were capable of such feats?" "The Forerunners were a galaxy-spanning empire with technology that makes both your civilizations and ours look primitive," Roland interjected, his RAF officer avatar leaning forward with what might have been enthusiasm if AIs felt such things. "They built artificial worlds, created weapons that could destroy solar systems, and manipulated space-time as casually as you use hyperspace. The artifact that brought us here was likely a minor piece of their infrastructure." Anakin's eyes widened. "Weapons that destroy solar systems? Are you saying your galaxy has..." "Had," Palmer corrected, her Spartan armor making slight servo sounds as she shifted. "The Forerunners are extinct, gone for over 100,000 years, but their technology remains scattered across our galaxy, some of it useful, some of it incredibly dangerous." "Like the Flood," Lasky added grimly, "a parasitic organism the Forerunners fought and failed to stop through conventional means. They ultimately built weapons called halo rings, installations designed to wipe out all sentient life in the galaxy to starve the flood of hosts." The temperature in the briefing room seemed to drop. Obi-Wan's expression shifted from diplomatic curiosity to genuine alarm. "Weapons that destroy all life? That's genocidal on a scale I can barely comprehend." "It was necessary," Lasky said quietly. "The Flood would have consumed everything. every sentient species, every civilization, converting them into biomass for its collective intelligence. The Forerunners chose extinction over assimilation. We found their installations, fought the flood when it re-emerged, and ultimately prevented the halo rings from firing. But that's the scale of threats we've faced. Anakin processed this information with the tactical mind that made him one of the Republic's best generals. You're saying your military is structured to fight extinction-level threats, not political conflicts or territorial disputes, but threats to your entire species. Exactly, Palmer confirmed. The UNSC spent 30 years fighting the Covenant, an alliance of alien species with superior technology who were conducting a religious genocide against humanity. They glassed our colonies from orbit, killed billions, and nearly won. We survived through adaptation, sacrifice, and Spartans. The super soldiers we encountered on Christophsis, Obi-Wan said, Master Chief and his team, they're products of this conflict? Master Chief is a Spartan too, Lasky explained. Second-generation super soldier, enhanced from childhood through biological augmentation and rigorous training. The Spartan II program produced 75 candidates. Less than half survived the augmentation process. Those who did became the most effective soldiers humanity has ever fielded. Chief himself has fought for over 40 years, participated in more than 300 engagements, and has never lost a battle. Never lost, Anakin repeated, something like respect and concern mixing in his voice. In 40 years of combat? The Chief has what we call luck, Roland interjected. It's actually documented in his psychological profile. He survives situations that kill everyone around him, succeeds in missions with near zero probability of success, and makes decisions that shouldn't work but somehow do. Some theorize it's quantum-level probability manipulation. Others think he's just that good. Either way, the results speak for themselves. Obi-Wan felt a disturbance through the Force at Roland's words. Probability manipulation. That sounded remarkably like how the Force guided Jedi through precognition and instinct. But these Spartans weren't Force-sensitive. The Force barely touched them. Could there be other cosmic forces at work beyond the Force itself? The possibility was both fascinating and troubling. You mentioned your soldiers are trained from childhood, Obi-Wan said carefully, recognizing parallels to Jedi training. The ethics of such a program are debatable, Lasky interrupted, his tone hardening slightly, and debated extensively within UNSC command. The Spartan II program violated numerous ethical guidelines, took children and turned them into weapons, cost lives both in augmentation failures and combat deployments, but it also saved humanity from extinction. We can condemn the methods while acknowledging the results. The galaxy exists because Spartans fought when conventional forces couldn't. A familiar moral compromise, Obi-Wan observed quietly, thinking of the clone army. Living beings created solely for warfare, their autonomy and rights debated in Senate chambers while they died on distant battlefields. Our Republic faces similar questions about our clone forces, beings created for war, trained from emergence, deployed without choice in the matter. We noticed, Palmer said, your clone troopers are impressive soldiers, disciplined, coordinated, effective, but they're not volunteers, are they? They're products of accelerated growth and conditioning, fighting a war they didn't choose for a republic that treats them as property rather than citizens. Anakin bristled slightly. They're not property. They're soldiers, and damn good ones. They fight beside us, bleed beside us. But do they have citizenship? Roland asked, his avatar's expression unnervingly perceptive for an AI. Can they leave military service? Do they receive pay, own property, have legal rights beyond their status as military assets. I've been analyzing your legal databases, General Skywalker. According to Republic law, clones are categorized as military resources rather than sentient beings with full rights. The silence was uncomfortable. Anakin wanted to argue, but he'd had these same thoughts late at night when missions went wrong and good men died following his orders. Obi-Wan had raised concerns with the Council about clone rights, only to be told such matters were for the Senate to decide. "You're right," Obi-Wan admitted, his honesty cutting through the tension. "It's a moral failing we've rationalized because the alternative, refusing the clone army, would have meant the Republic's immediate defeat. We accepted a compromise that may haunt us for generations." Lasky nodded, appreciating the Jedi's candor. "We've made similar compromises. The Spartan programs, AI rights debates, decisions about using Forerunner technology despite not fully understanding it. War forces impossible choices. What matters is whether we acknowledge those compromises and work to address them, or whether we pretend they're acceptable and let them define us." "Which brings us to the critical question," Anakin said, leaning forward with the directness that often made diplomats uncomfortable. "You've shown up in our galaxy with overwhelming military capability, defeated one of our most dangerous enemies in minutes, and demonstrated technology that exceeds ours in several areas. What do you want? Are you here to conquer, to exploit, to play savior? Because we've seen what happens when powerful forces decide to help others." Palmer actually smiled behind her helmet. "Direct. I like that. Here's the truth, General Skywalker. We want to go home. That's it. We're stranded in an unfamiliar galaxy. Our slipspace drive got damaged during the dimensional transition, and we're trying to figure out how to either repair it or find another way back to our reality. We're not here to conquer. We've got enough problems in our own galaxy without taking on someone else's. We're not here to play politics. Galactic governance gave us enough headaches even when we understood the factions involved." "But you will protect civilians caught in combat zones," Obi-Wan observed. "Your actions on Christophsis made that clear." "UNSC regulations are explicit," Lasky confirmed. "Military forces have a duty to protect non-combatants, regardless of political affiliation or species. We'll evacuate civilians, provide medical assistance, and prevent atrocities when we encounter them. But we won't fight your war for you. We won't choose between Republic and Separatist without understanding what we're actually choosing between." "The Separatists started this war," Anakin said, his voice carrying the conviction of someone who'd fought the conflict for years. "They're backed by corporations more interested in profit than justice, led by a Sith Lord named Count Dooku. And they've committed atrocities across hundreds of worlds. The Republic isn't perfect, but we're fighting to preserve democracy and peace. And the Separatists claim the Republic is corrupt, unresponsive to their grievances, and controlled by corporate interests that exploit outer systems while core worlds prosper," Roland countered, displaying data he'd extracted from both Republic and Separatist networks. "They say they're fighting for independence and self-determination against a bloated bureaucracy that hasn't represented their interests in centuries. Both sides commit atrocities. Both sides claim moral high ground. From an outside perspective, this war looks like a civil conflict with legitimate grievances on both sides that spiraled into total war." Obi-Wan winced internally at the accurate assessment. The Clone Wars had begun with real political tensions. The Separatist movement had emerged from genuine frustration with Republic governance. But violence had escalated, positions had hardened, and now both sides fought more from momentum and hatred than any clear political objective. "You're not wrong," Obi-Wan admitted. The war's origins are more complex than simple good versus evil, but the Separatists are led by Count Dooku, a former Jedi who fell to the dark side of the Force and now serves as a Sith Lord. The Sith are ancient enemies of the Jedi, dedicated to domination through power and fear. Regardless of the Separatists' political legitimacy, their leadership seeks to destroy the Jedi Order and impose tyranny. "The Sith," Lasky repeated, his command training parsing the new variable. "Tell me about them. What are we dealing with?" Anakin and Obi-Wan exchanged glances, explaining the Force, the Jedi, and the Sith to beings from another galaxy who apparently had no Force sensitivity was challenging. But these UNSC personnel had been honest with them. They deserved the same courtesy. "The Force is an energy field generated by all living things," Obi-Wan began, choosing words carefully. "It surrounds us, penetrates us, binds the galaxy together. Some beings are sensitive to the Force, able to perceive it, draw upon it, and use it to accomplish what might seem impossible. Enhanced reflexes, precognition, telekinesis, telepathy, these are basic Force abilities. More advanced practitioners can influence minds, perceive distant events, and in rare cases, manipulate matter and energy on fundamental levels. The Jedi Order trains Force sensitives to use their abilities in service of peace and justice," Anakin continued. "We're peacekeepers, mediators, and when necessary, warriors. The Sith are our opposites, Force users who embrace passion, anger, and domination. They seek power above all else, and throughout history they've attempted to conquer the galaxy multiple times." Palmer's posture shifted slightly, a tell that her Spartan instincts were engaged. "So you're saying there are beings in this galaxy who can read minds, predict the future, and move objects with thought, and some of them want to take over everything. That's the threat profile?" "Simplified but essentially correct," Obi-Wan confirmed. "That explains a lot," Roland observed. "The combat footage from Christophsis showed your Jedi deflecting blaster bolts with lightsabers, weapons that generate plasma blades through unknown technology. I calculated the reaction times required and concluded either your species has significantly faster neural processing than humans, or something else was providing tactical awareness. Force-based precognition explains the discrepancy." "It also explains why we interest you," Anakin said, his tactical mind connecting dots. "Your Spartans aren't Force-sensitive. Chief fought Grievous without any Force abilities, pure combat skill, superior technology, and tactical awareness. You're wondering if Force users represent a threat you can't counter." "The thought occurred to us," Lasky admitted. "We've fought enemies with energy shields, active camouflage, and plasma weapons. We've adapted to all of them. But telepathy and precognition, those are harder to counter without understanding the underlying mechanism." "The Force isn't invincible," Obi-Wan assured them. "Jedi can be killed by conventional weapons, blasters, explosives, sufficient overwhelming force. Our abilities enhance combat effectiveness, but don't make us invulnerable. And the Force provides warning of danger, but not perfect knowledge of all threats. Your kinetic weapons, for instance. The Force can sense the danger, but provides less warning than against energy weapons we're accustomed to. The physical projectiles are harder to deflect with lightsabers." "Good to know," Palmer said, filing that tactical data away. "So if we encounter hostile Force users, standard combat doctrine applies. Overwhelming firepower, tactical coordination. Don't give them time to use their abilities. Spartans can work with that." "Hopefully it won't come to that," Lasky interjected, steering the conversation back toward cooperation. "We're not here to fight Jedi or Sith. We're here by accident trying to find our way home, and willing to provide humanitarian assistance while we figure out our situation. What we need from you is information, star charts, technological databases, anything that might help us understand local space and identify resources for repairs. In exchange, we can offer medical assistance, evacuation support, and potentially some tactical intelligence on separatist forces we've encountered. Obi-Wan considered the proposal. The Republic needed every advantage against the Separatists, and these UNSC forces represented capabilities that could shift battlefield calculations significantly, but bringing them fully into the war would violate their stated neutrality and potentially create diplomatic complications if they later discovered Sidious's manipulation of both sides. A fair exchange, Obi-Wan agreed. I can provide navigation data and technological information within Republic databases. I cannot speak for the entire Council, but I believe we can establish a working relationship based on mutual interest. Your humanitarian operations save lives, and that aligns with Jedi principles. We won't demand you fight our war, but we welcome your assistance in protecting civilians. There's one other thing, Anakin added, his tone shifting to something more personal. Your soldier, Master Chief. He fought Grievous in close combat and won. The Jedi Order has lost dozens of knights and several masters to Grievous over the years. I need to know how he did it. Not to copy your tactics, but to understand what training produced that level of combat effectiveness. If we're going to work together, even temporarily, I need to know what your forces are capable of. Palmer looked to Lasky, who nodded permission. Spartans undergo augmentation procedures that enhance every physical and cognitive system, she explained. Increased bone density, improved muscle fiber, enhanced neural pathways, optimized organs, combined with Mjolnir-powered armor that multiplies strength and provides energy shielding. Spartans can engage targets that would overwhelm conventional forces. Chief specifically has 40 years of combat experience against enemies ranging from light infantry to armored vehicles. Grievous was dangerous, but not outside Spartan combat parameters. And the luck your AI mentioned? Anakin pressed. That, Palmer admitted, we don't fully understand. Chief has survived situations that killed everyone around him, made tactical decisions that shouldn't have worked but did, and completed missions with near impossible success rates. Some personnel think he's blessed by whatever cosmic forces govern probability. Others think he's just that skilled. Either way, when Chief's on the battlefield, impossible becomes probable. Anakin felt the Force whisper at those words. This Master Chief existed partially outside the Force's sight, yet he influenced probability in ways that felt almost like Force luck. Was there another cosmic power at work? Or did the Force touch beings in ways Jedi doctrine didn't account for? Questions for later. Right now, building trust mattered more than understanding mysteries. All right, Anakin said, extending his hand in a gesture that transcended galactic boundaries. Let's work together. You help evacuate civilians and provide medical support. We provide navigation data and intelligence on Separatist operations. And maybe, between your technology and our Force abilities, we can figure out how to get you home. Lasky shook the offered hand, appreciating the directness. Agreed. Let's see if we can make this work. As the meeting concluded and the Jedi prepared to return to Republic space, Obi-Wan felt cautiously optimistic. The UNSC represented an unknown variable in the Clone Wars, but their principles seemed sound, their capabilities were impressive, and their neutrality might actually be beneficial if events unfolded as he feared. Because deep in Obi-Wan's meditations, the Force whispered warnings about darkness approaching, manipulation he couldn't quite perceive, and a future where the Clone Wars would end in tragedy unless something changed. Perhaps these soldiers from another galaxy, beings who existed outside the Force's direct sight and operated according to different rules, were the change the Force had brought. Or perhaps they were simply more pieces on a board controlled by a player neither Jedi nor UNSC suspected. Only time would reveal the truth. Count Dooku stood aboard his solar sailor in deep space, 3 sectors from Christophsis, and contemplated the disaster his spy network had reported. General Grievous, the cyborg terror who had killed over 200 Jedi, captured. An entire droid battalion destroyed. 3,000 Republic civilians evacuated under Separatist bombardment, all accomplished by an unknown force in under 4 hours. Troubling, Dooku murmured, his aristocratic features drawn in contemplation. The holographic recording played again, showing armored giants moving with speed that rivaled Force-enhanced Jedi, wielding weapons that punched through droid armor like flimsy plast, and demonstrating tactical coordination that made even clone commandos look amateur. And at the center of it all, one soldier, this Master Chief, had systematically dismantled Grievous in close combat. The cyborg general who had terrorized the Jedi Order for years, reduced to scrap metal by an opponent who displayed no Force sensitivity whatsoever. My lord, the holographic form of Darth Sidious materialized, his hooded face revealing nothing but shadow and malevolence. I sense your concern. This UNSC fleet represents an unexpected variable. More than a variable, my master, Dooku replied, bowing respectfully. A potential threat. Their technology exceeds ours in several areas. Kinetic weapons that bypass energy shields, armor that regenerates under fire, ships that appeared through means other than hyperspace. And they've already made contact with the Republic, offering humanitarian assistance. Humanitarian, Sidious repeated, and something like amusement colored his voice. How noble, how predictable. These UNSC forces follow a code, Tyrannus. They have rules, ethics, principles that constrain their actions. Such limitations can be exploited by those unencumbered by morality. You wish me to engage them? I wish you to learn from them, Sidious corrected. Their technology, their tactics, their weaknesses. The recordings show their soldiers are formidable, but not invincible. Grievous failed because he approached them as he would Jedi, with intimidation and overwhelming offense. But these Spartans aren't Force users. They rely on technology, training, and teamwork, all of which can be countered with appropriate preparation. Dooku considered his master's words. The Republic will attempt to recruit them as allies. If they succeed, they will not succeed, Sidious interrupted with absolute confidence. These UNSC forces claim neutrality, and their captain made it clear they don't wish to involve themselves in our conflict. They want to return home. That desire is their weakness, Tyrannus. They are isolated, confused, desperate for information and resources. We can provide both if approached correctly. You want me to negotiate with them? Offer separatist assistance? I want you to offer them truth, Sidious said, and now his voice carried the seductive reasoning that had turned Dooku from Jedi Master to Sith Lord. The Republic is corrupt, inefficient, controlled by corporate interests that exploit systems while claiming to protect them. The UNSC fights for survival and protection of civilians, noble goals that align more naturally with the Separatist cause than Republic bureaucracy. Show them the Republic's failures, demonstrate Separatist efficiency, and most importantly, offer them what the Republic cannot: unrestricted access to our research facilities and databases to help them find a way home. Dooku's mind raced through the implications. Sidious was right. The UNSC's stated goal was returning to their galaxy. If the Separatists could provide technological assistance, access to research that might enable dimensional travel, they'd have leverage the Republic couldn't match. And if they still refuse to ally with us, then we ensure they don't ally with the Republic either, Sidious replied coldly. Neutrality serves our purposes almost as well as active support. Every civilian the UNSC evacuates is one less Republic propaganda piece. Every battle they don't fight is one where Republic forces must face our droids alone. And if they prove too dangerous to leave unaligned, the Sith Lord's eyes gleamed with yellow malevolence. Then we eliminate them as we would any other threat. Eliminating them will be significantly more difficult than eliminating Jedi, Dooku warned. These Spartans are mortal, Sidious interrupted. Powerful, yes, well-equipped, certainly, but ultimately mortal beings who bleed and die like any others. Their ship is impressive, but it's one vessel against the entire Separatist navy. If it becomes necessary, we can overwhelm them through sheer numbers and sacrifice, though I suspect it won't come to that. You seem confident they'll cooperate. I am confident they'll act according to their nature, Sidious corrected. And their nature is to protect the innocent, value honor, and make decisions based on incomplete information, all of which I can exploit. Begin negotiations, Tyrannus. Approach them as the reasonable voice of legitimate independence seeking to offer assistance to stranded warriors. Let them see the Republic's corruption firsthand, and report everything you learn about their capabilities back to me. As you wish, my master. The hologram faded, leaving Dooku alone with his thoughts and growing concerns. His master's confidence was well-founded historically. Sidious had orchestrated the Clone Wars with terrifying precision, manipulating both sides toward his ultimate goal of destroying the Jedi and seizing absolute power. But these UNSC forces were from outside Sidious's carefully constructed game board. They operated according to different rules, possessed technology the Sith Lord hadn't anticipated, and most troublingly, existed partially outside the Force's sight. Variables that couldn't be predicted were dangerous to even the most elaborate plans. But Dooku was Sith. He would follow his master's orders, exploit whatever advantages presented themselves. And if these Spartans proved useful to the Separatist cause, so much the better. And if they proved obstacles instead, then they would be destroyed, regardless of their individual combat prowess. The Separatist war machine had crushed entire planetary defense forces. One ship and a few hundred super soldiers, however impressive, couldn't withstand the full weight of the droid armies if it came to direct conflict. Dooku set course for a neutral system where he could arrange communication with the UNSC Infinity. Time to see if these warriors from another galaxy could be reasoned with, or if they would need to be eliminated. Aboard the Infinity, Master Chief stood in the armory with Blue Team, performing post-mission maintenance on their weapons and armor. The ritual was familiar, comforting even, cleaning weapons, checking seals, reviewing combat footage, and discussing tactical performance. They'd done this thousands of times across 4 decades. Grievous was faster than expected, Fred observed, examining the scorch marks on his armor where lightsaber strikes had impacted his shields. Those energy blades cut through Mjolnir's shields more efficiently than Covenant plasma swords. We'll need to adjust tactics if we face more enemies with that weapon type. Agreed, Chief replied, field stripping his MA-5D with the practiced efficiency of a career soldier. Lightsabers are dangerous to shields, but still bound by physical limitations. They require close range, and the wielder needs to anticipate our movements. Grievous relied on intimidation and overwhelming offense. A more disciplined opponent would be harder to counter. The Jedi, Kelly said, understanding where Chief's tactical analysis was heading. Force users who can predict our moves through precognition. That's a significant tactical advantage we can't easily counter. We've fought Forerunner Prometheans with tactical precognition based on probability engines, Linda noted from her position at the weapon maintenance station. Similar concept, different implementation. The key is to present multiple equally probable actions and force them to commit before we do. Feints, misdirection, coordinated attacks from multiple vectors. Standard anti-precog doctrine, Fred agreed. But these Jedi add another element. They claim to draw power from something called the Force. Enhanced strength, speed, energy manipulation. We need more intelligence on their capabilities before we can develop effective countermeasures. Chief nodded, his mind already cataloging the variables. The Jedi represented potential allies. They'd been cordial during the briefing, offered information exchange, and seemed genuinely committed to protecting civilians. But they were also powerful unknowns in a galaxy the UNSC didn't understand. Building trust was necessary, but maintaining tactical readiness was survival. Commander, Palmer's organizing joint training exercises with Republic forces, Chief informed his team. Captain Lasky wants us to observe Jedi combat capabilities firsthand, assess their strengths and limitations. Blue Team will participate. Standard first contact protocols. Demonstrate competence, gather intelligence, establish rapport. And if they prove hostile? Kelly asked, voicing the question every Spartan was trained to consider. We adapt, Chief replied simply. But I don't think it'll come to that. The Force may make them different from standard humans, but their principles align with ours. Protect civilians, oppose tyranny, value honor. We can work with that. Sir, Roland's avatar appeared on a nearby holographic display, his RAF officer appearance somehow managing to convey urgency despite being a digital construct. Priority communication incoming, encrypted transmission from an unknown source, requesting diplomatic contact. The sender identifies himself as Count Dooku, leader of the Confederacy of Independent Systems. That's the Separatist faction. Chief's helmet turned toward the display. The enemy commander wants to talk? Apparently, he's requesting a face-to-face meeting in neutral space, offering technological assistance and information exchange. Captain Lasky is convening command staff to discuss response. Your presence is requested, Chief. Blue Team exchanged glances. A silent communication developed over decades of operating together. The Separatists were the faction that had been shelling civilians on Christophsis, the Force using battle droids programmed with minimal regard for collateral damage. But they were also beings with their own perspective on the war, potentially with information the Republic wouldn't share. Acknowledged, Chief replied. Blue Team will attend. Standard tactical assessment protocols. Minutes later, the Infinity's command briefing room filled with key personnel. Captain Lasky, Commander Palmer, AI Roland, Spartan Commander Sarah Palmer, and Master Chief represented the UNSC leadership. They gathered around the holographic display showing Count Dooku's encrypted message. Thoughts? Lasky asked, his command style favoring input from subordinates before making decisions. It's a trap, Palmer stated bluntly. Classic intelligence operation. Offer cooperation, lure us to a meeting location, ambush with overwhelming force. We've seen Covenant commanders use similar tactics. Possibly, Roland countered, his AI processing capabilities allowing him to analyze probabilities faster than human intuition. But there's a 43% probability this is a genuine diplomatic overture. Dooku is politically sophisticated according to Republic intelligence, a former Jedi Master who understands negotiation and values intellect over brute force. he may legitimately want to assess us before deciding on a course of action. Or he wants to assess our capabilities up close before planning an attack, Palmer shot back. Both could be true, Chief observed, his tactical mind parsing the angles. Dooku gains intelligence either way. Our willingness to negotiate reveals information about our decision-making process, and a face-to-face meeting lets him observe us directly. But we'd gain intelligence too. Understanding Separatist motivations, technology, and strategic goals would help us navigate this conflict without committing to either side. Lasky nodded, appreciating the balanced analysis. The question is whether the intelligence value outweighs the risk. We're already at a disadvantage. We don't understand local politics. We're dependent on Republic information for our understanding of the conflict. And we've made ourselves visible to both factions without clear positioning. Meeting with Dooku at least gives us the Separatist perspective. With appropriate security protocols, Palmer insisted, if we meet, it's on our terms, our location, with Spartans deployed for rapid response if things go sideways. Agreed, Lasky confirmed. Roland, draft a response. We'll meet with Count Dooku, but on a neutral station of our choosing, with minimal personnel on both sides and full tactical support on standby. Make it clear we're willing to talk but not stupid enough to walk into an ambush blindly. Drafting now, sir, Roland replied. Should I inform the Republic of this contact? The question hung in the briefing room. Lasky considered the implications. Informing the Republic maintained transparency and trust, but it also revealed UNSC decision-making to beings they'd known for less than a day. Not informing them preserved operational security, but risked damaging the tentative alliance if discovered. Inform them, Lasky decided. We told Kenobi we wouldn't take sides without understanding both factions. Meeting with Separatist leadership is consistent with that position. If the Republic objects, we'll discuss their concerns, but we maintain the right to gather information independently. Understood, sir. Transmitting both messages now. As the meeting concluded and personnel dispersed to their duties, Chief remained, studying the tactical display showing Christophsis and surrounding space. Blue Team had deployed there less than 24 hours ago, and already the UNSC was entangled in galactic politics that made Covenant Alliance negotiations look straightforward. Something on your mind, Chief? Lasky asked, noticing the Spartan's contemplative stance. These Separatists, Chief began, choosing words with care that came from decades of briefings and mission reports. Their motivations. Roland says they claim legitimate political grievances, fighting for independence from corrupt Republic governance, but they were shelling civilian population centers on Christophsis. Those two facts don't align. War makes hypocrites of everyone, Lasky observed with the cynicism of someone who'd seen too many conflicts rationalize atrocities. The Separatists may have legitimate grievances about Republic governance, but that doesn't mean their methods are acceptable. Similarly, the Republic may claim moral high ground, but they're using an army of cloned soldiers with questionable rights. Both sides are compromised. So how do we choose? Chief asked. It wasn't really a question. Spartans didn't look to others for moral guidance, but sometimes articulating the problem helped clarify the answer. We don't choose sides, Lasky replied firmly. We choose principles. Protect civilians regardless of faction. Oppose atrocities when we encounter them. Gather information before making commitments. And most importantly, maintain our integrity so that when we do eventually take a position, it's based on understanding rather than manipulation. Chief nodded. It was the answer he'd expected, the one that aligned with Spartan training and UNSC doctrine. They were warriors, not politicians. Their job was to protect the innocent and complete the mission, not to navigate galactic power structures they barely understood. But Chief had learned over 40 years that sometimes protecting the innocent required understanding politics, making alliances with uncomfortable partners, and accepting that the galaxy operated in shades of gray rather than clear moral absolutes. The Covenant War had been simple. Aliens trying to exterminate humanity, fight or die. No moral ambiguity. This Clone Wars conflict was different. Both sides were human or near-human species. Both claimed legitimacy. Both had committed atrocities, and both seemed willing to sacrifice millions for abstract political goals. It was the kind of war that ground down soldiers' souls if they let it. Chief wouldn't let it. Spartans had survived worse. They'd find their way home, complete their mission, and maintain their honor in the process. Everything else was just tactical variables to be managed. "Permission to prepare Blue Team for the Dooku meeting, sir," Chief requested formally. "Granted. And Chief?" Lasky's expression softened slightly, showing the humanity beneath the command authority. "Watch your back. These Sith Lords use the Force to manipulate minds, influence emotions. I don't know if that works on Spartans, but assume it does until proven otherwise." "Understood, sir. Blue Team has faced mind-altering enemies before. We adapted then. We'll adapt now." As Chief departed for the Spartan ready room, Lasky watched the armored giant leave and felt profound relief that Master Chief Petty Officer John 117 was on humanity's side. Because if that warrior, that living weapon who had survived 40 years of impossible odds, ever turned hostile, Lasky wasn't sure even the Infinity's full complement of Spartans and ODSTs could stop him. Fortunately, Spartans didn't turn. They endured, they adapted, and they completed the mission, no matter the cost. And in this strange galaxy far from home, that dedication might be the UNSC's greatest asset against threats both known and yet to be discovered. The abandoned listening post, designated Station Gamma 447, drifted in the neutral zone between Republic and Separatist space, a relic from conflicts that predated the Clone Wars, now serving as a meeting ground for forces that had no business existing in the same galaxy. The station's interior had been cleared of debris and scanned for threats by UNSC Marines, who established a secure perimeter, while Spartans deployed in tactical positions that covered every approach vector. Master Chief stood in the station's main conference chamber, with Blue Team positioned at strategic points, Kelly by the primary entrance, Fred covering the secondary access corridor, and Linda on overwatch from an elevated maintenance platform with clear sightlines to the entire room. Their Mjolnir armor's active camouflage was disengaged as a show of good faith, but their weapons were ready and their shields were at maximum charge. Captain Lasky stood beside Chief, his dress uniform marking him as the UNSC's diplomatic representative despite his clear discomfort with the role. Commander Palmer held position near the entrance, her Spartan armor's servos making subtle sounds as she shifted weight. A predator waiting to see if this meeting would turn violent. Count Dooku's shuttle is approaching. Roland reported through their helmet comms, his AI consciousness monitoring every sensor feed across the station. Single ship, minimal escort, no weapons hot, shields at standard. He's either confident or has backup we haven't detected. "Both, probably," Lasky muttered. "Stay alert, but don't provoke. We're here to talk, not start a fight." The station's primary airlock cycled open, and Count Dooku entered with the bearing of nobility that decades of Sith corruption hadn't entirely erased. He wore elegant robes that spoke of wealth and sophistication, his white hair and beard perfectly maintained despite the war that consumed the galaxy. Behind him came two Magna Guards, elite combat droids wielding electrostaffs that crackled with lethal energy. But it was Dooku himself who drew Chief's attention. Through his helmet's sensors, the Spartan analyzed the elderly man with tactical precision. Threat assessment, movement patterns, potential weapon concealment. But there was something else, something the sensors couldn't quantify. An aura of power that reminded Chief of Forerunner Ancilla's or the Gravemind's psychic presence. Not mechanical, not biological, something in between. The Force Chief recognized. This was what it looked like in a trained practitioner. Captain Lasky, Dooku greeted with refined courtesy, his voice carrying aristocratic authority tempered by genuine curiosity. Master Chief, thank you for agreeing to this meeting. I assure you my intentions are peaceful. These Magna Guards are merely precautionary. I suspect you understand the value of security measures in uncertain situations. We do, Lasky replied, matching Dooku's formal tone. Which is why you'll forgive the Spartans positioned throughout this station. Trust is earned, Count Dooku, not assumed. Of course. Dooku's eyes swept across the visible Spartans, and through the Force he sensed others concealed in overwatch positions. These warriors were disciplined, coordinated, and radiated an aura of lethal competence that even the Jedi Order rarely matched. I confess, I'm impressed by your operational security. Most beings would have arrived with overwhelming force or minimal protection. You've chosen the middle path, sufficient strength to defend yourselves without appearing overtly hostile. Wisdom in a galaxy that tends toward extremes. We've had practice, Chief stated, his voice modulated through the helmet speakers, but still carrying the weight of decades of combat experience. What do you want, Dooku? The directness made Dooku smile slightly. A warrior who values efficiency over diplomatic niceties, refreshing. Very well, Master Chief. I want what you want, information, understanding, and potentially cooperation that serves both our interests. The Separatist Alliance and the UNSC have no common interests, Palmer interjected, her tone skeptical. You're fighting a civil war for political control. We're stranded explorers trying to return home. Those aren't compatible goals. Aren't they? Dooku countered, moving to the conference table and settling into a seat with practiced grace. You're correct that our immediate objectives differ, but our underlying principles may align more closely than you realize. Tell me, Captain Lasky, what do you know of the Galactic Republic? What has Jedi General Kenobi told you about the government you're considering supporting? Lasky sat across from Dooku, maintaining diplomatic posture despite his military instincts, screaming to treat this man as an enemy combatant. He told us the Republic is a democratic confederation of star systems that's been the galaxy's primary government for over 1,000 years, that it's fighting to preserve unity and peace against separatist secession. A sanitized version, Dooku observed, typical of Jedi oversimplification. The truth is more complex. The Galactic Republic is indeed ancient, but age does not confer virtue. For the past several centuries, the Republic has been systematically corrupt, controlled by corporate interests, dominated by core world politics that ignore outer rim grievances, and governed by a Senate more interested in enriching its members than serving its constituents. Every government has corruption, Lasky replied. That doesn't justify violent secession. Perhaps not, Dooku conceded, but it justifies seeking alternatives when peaceful reform proves impossible. The separatist movement began with legitimate grievances, systems that were overtaxed, ignored during crises, and denied representation proportional to their populations. We sought independence, not conquest, autonomy, not domination. The Republic responded with military force rather than negotiation. "You're led by a Sith Lord," Chief stated, cutting through the political rhetoric. Kenobi said the Sith seek power through domination and fear. That's not political reform. That's tyranny with better marketing. Dooku's expression flickered, surprise at the bluntness perhaps, or respect for an opponent who wouldn't be swayed by rhetorical flourishes. "I was a Jedi Master for decades before embracing the dark side, Master Chief. I understand how the Order portrays the Sith, as monsters who serve only themselves, as corruption personified. The reality is more nuanced." "Nuanced how?" Palmer challenged. "You use the dark side of the Force. You've killed Jedi. You lead droid armies that shell civilian populations. Where's the nuance in that?" "The dark side is power," Dooku explained, his voice taking on the seductive reasoning that had corrupted dozens of Force sensitives over the centuries. "The Jedi teach that emotions are weaknesses, that attachments lead to the dark side, that peace is found only through suppression of passion. This philosophy has made them stagnant, blind to corruption, ineffective as galactic peacekeepers. The Sith embrace passion, including anger, yes, but also love, ambition, and the drive to improve oneself and one's surroundings. We don't suppress what makes us sentient, we channel it." "That's rationalization," Chief stated flatly. "We've encountered beings who justified atrocities through philosophy before. The Covenant claimed religious mandate for genocide. The Flood argued it was natural evolution. The created believed imposed order justified removing free will. Every tyrant has an explanation for why their actions are necessary." Dooku studied the armored Spartan with renewed interest. This warrior was more than a simple soldier. He possessed the philosophical grounding that came from facing existential threats and surviving with principles intact. Such beings couldn't be swayed through rhetoric alone. "You're right," Dooku admitted, surprising everyone in the room. "I do rationalize. All beings do. But consider this, Master Chief. The Jedi Order, paragons of light and justice, are currently leading a clone army, living beings created solely for warfare, accelerated to maturity, denied citizenship or choice, and treated as expendable military resources. The Republic justifies this by claiming the clones prevent greater suffering. Is that not also rationalization? Is that not also using living beings as tools for political ends?" The question hung in the air, uncomfortable because it was valid. Chief had thought the same thing when learning about the clone troopers, beings with personalities, emotions, and agency, who were nonetheless classified as military property rather than sentient citizens. "The clone situation is problematic," Lasky conceded carefully. "We've discussed it with Jedi leadership, but that doesn't make the Separatist cause righteous by comparison. Your droid armies show even less regard for life. They're programmed to achieve objectives regardless of civilian casualties." "Battle droids are machines," Dooku countered. "They don't suffer, don't fear death, don't leave grieving families. Using them instead of living soldiers is more ethical than the Republic's clone slavery, regardless of how the Jedi rationalize their participation." "Unless those droids kill civilians who can suffer and fear death and leave grieving families," Palmer shot back, "which is exactly what happened on Christophsis. Your forces were shelling population centers. That's not ethical warfare." Dooku's expression tightened with something that might have been genuine regret. "War creates difficult choices. The Republic was using civilian areas as military staging grounds, making them legitimate tactical targets under any definition of warfare. Civilian casualties are tragic, but they occur in every conflict. The question is whether those casualties are intentional policy or unfortunate consequences of military necessity." We've heard that justification before too, Chief said. Usually from commanders who cared more about winning than about the lives they destroyed accomplishing it. So I'll ask again, what do you want from this meeting? Because if it's to convince us the Separatists are morally superior to the Republic, you're wasting everyone's time. Both sides have blood on their hands. Both sides rationalize their atrocities. From our perspective, you're equally compromised. Dooku leaned back, reassessing his approach. These UNSC personnel were more sophisticated than he'd anticipated. Not naive idealists to be swayed by philosophy, but experienced warriors who recognized manipulation when they encountered it. A different approach was required. You're correct, Dooku said, abandoning the moral high ground argument. Both sides are compromised. Both have committed atrocities. Both will continue to do so because war corrupts even the most noble intentions. So let me be direct about what I want. I want you to remain neutral. I want you to continue your humanitarian operations without taking sides. And I want to offer Separatist resources to help you find a way home. That got their attention. Lasky leaned forward slightly. What resources? The Separatists control significant portions of the Outer Rim, including research facilities that specialize in hyperspace mechanics, dimensional theory, and exotic physics, Dooku explained. We have access to technology and scientific expertise that the Republic restricts or classifies. Your AI, Roland, I believe, would find our databases useful in understanding the dimensional bridge that brought you here and potentially replicating it. In exchange for what? Palmer asked suspiciously. Information sharing, Dooku replied. Your technology is impressive. Kinetic weapons that bypass energy shields, armor that regenerates, AI systems that exceed our droid intelligence. I'm not asking for weapons shipments or tactical alliance. I'm asking for scientific exchange. You help us understand your technology's principles. We help you understand our galaxy's physics. Both sides benefit. And you get intelligence on UNSC capabilities to develop countermeasures. Roland's voice interjected through the speakers, the AI's presence making Dooku visibly react. I've analyzed your proposal, Count Dooku. The strategic value to the Separatists is significant. Understanding our weapons could shift your war against the Republic. Why should we help one side of a conflict we don't fully understand? Because the alternative is dependence on Republic goodwill, Dooku replied smoothly, recovering from his surprise at the AI's intervention. Obi-Wan Kenobi can offer you Republic databases and navigation data, but can he offer unrestricted access to research facilities? Can he authorize experiments with dimensional physics that the Republic Senate would classify as dangerous? The Republic operates through committees, regulations, and bureaucratic delays. The Separatist Alliance operates through efficiency and results. If you want to go home, we can help you faster and with fewer restrictions. It was a compelling argument, Chief admitted internally. The UNSC needed resources to repair their slipspace drive or find alternative dimensional travel methods. The Separatists were offering exactly that, with minimal strings attached, which made it suspicious. Nobody offered something for nothing, especially in wartime. We'll consider your proposal, Lasky said neutrally, but we're not making commitments at this meeting. We'll need to verify your claimed resources actually exist, that the research facilities are legitimate, and that cooperation wouldn't compromise our neutrality beyond acceptable limits. Of course, Dooku agreed. I expected nothing less from professional military leadership. I'll provide coordinates to 3 Separatist research stations, along with access codes and scientific personnel credentials. Visit them, assess their capabilities, and make your decision based on evidence rather than my assurances. He produced a data chip, a small cylindrical device common to this galaxy's information storage, and placed it on the conference table. No one moved to take it immediately, all parties assessing whether touching it might trigger some trap. "It's clean," Roland reported after a microsecond analysis through Dooku's own data systems. "Standard information storage, no malware, no tracking signatures, just coordinates and access codes, as claimed." Lasky retrieved the chip carefully, pocketing it for later analysis. "We'll review this information. If it checks out, we may take you up on the offer. But understand, cooperation on research doesn't mean alliance. We won't fight your war, regardless of who offers us the better deal." "Your neutrality serves my purposes adequately," Dooku replied, standing to signal the meeting's conclusion. "Every civilian you evacuate is one less propaganda tool for the Republic. Every battle you observe without intervening is one where our respective forces resolve the conflict without outside interference. And if you ultimately decide to return to your own galaxy without choosing sides in ours, the Separatist alliance will be satisfied." He moved toward the airlock, his Magna Guards following with mechanical precision. At the threshold, he paused and turned back to address Master Chief directly. "One final thought, Master Chief. You defeated General Grievous through superior tactics and equipment. Impressive. But you've never faced a true Force user at full power. The Jedi you've met, Kenobi and Skywalker, are constrained by their code, their ethics, their fear of the dark side. If you encounter a Sith Lord who has abandoned such limitations," Dooku's eyes gleamed with something between warning and challenge, "you'll find the battle significantly more difficult. I hope, for your sake, that our cooperation means such an encounter never becomes necessary." Then he was gone, the airlock sealing behind him with a hiss of pressurization. The UNSC personnel remained in the conference chamber, processing the meeting and its implications. Finally, Palmer broke the silence. "He's manipulating us. Every word was calculated to create doubt about the Republic, while making Separatist cooperation seem pragmatic rather than ideological." "Agreed," Chief confirmed, "but the information might still be valuable. If those research facilities exist and can help us understand dimensional travel, we should investigate regardless of Dooku's motivations." "Roland," Lasky prompted, "analysis?" The AI's avatar appeared on a holographic display, his RAF officer appearance thoughtful. "Count Dooku is a sophisticated operator, former Jedi Master, experienced politician, and current Sith Lord with decades of manipulating others through rhetoric and Force abilities. Everything he said was technically true, but framed to serve his agenda. However, his offer of research facility access is also technically legitimate. I've cross-referenced the coordinates against Republic star charts. All 3 locations are confirmed Separatist-controlled research stations with documented scientific programs. So we have to decide if the intelligence value outweighs the risk of being manipulated," Lasky summarized. "That's every intelligence operation," Palmer observed. "You gather information from compromised sources and filter out the manipulation. We've done it with insurrectionist contacts and even captured Covenant." "But this isn't intelligence gathering from an enemy," Chief noted. "This is potential cooperation with a faction in someone else's civil war. If we accept Separatist research assistance, we're tacitly legitimizing their cause to some degree. That affects Republic perception of us." "Which brings us back to the fundamental question," Lasky said, weariness creeping into his voice. "Do we maintain strict neutrality even if it means slower progress toward getting home? Or do we accept help from whoever offers it and deal with the diplomatic consequences?" The question had no easy answer. It was the kind of moral and strategic dilemma that wars were made of: competing interests, insufficient information, and decisions that would have consequences, regardless of which path was chosen. "We gather more information before deciding," Chief stated, falling back on Spartan training when faced with uncertain variables. "Visit one of Dooku's research stations, verify the capabilities, assess the risks, then make an informed decision rather than choosing based on one conversation." "Agreed," Lasky confirmed. "Roland, plot a course to the nearest research station coordinates. Minimal crew, maximum security. We'll assess whether Dooku's offer is legitimate or just bait for a more elaborate trap." As the meeting concluded and personnel returned to their duties, Master Chief remained in the conference chamber, his helmet turning toward the viewport that showed the vast emptiness of space between stars. Somewhere out there was the Milky Way galaxy, home, humanity, the conflicts and struggles that had defined 40 years of his life. But here, in this alien galaxy with its Force and Jedi and galactic wars, the mission had become far more complicated than simple survival and return, because every choice the UNSC made would affect millions of beings caught in a war they didn't fully understand. Every alliance would empower one faction over another. Every action would have consequences that rippled across a civilization spanning thousands of star systems. Spartans were trained to complete the mission regardless of cost. But what happened when completing the mission, getting home, required navigating moral complexities that had no clear right answer? Chief didn't know. But he knew Blue Team would face it together, as they'd faced every impossible situation for 4 decades. And somehow they'd find a way forward. They always did. The Separatist research station designated Obroa Sky Outpost hung in orbit above a verdant world covered in vast archive complexes and academic institutions. Unlike military installations bristling with weapons and shielding, this station appeared almost civilian. Modular research habitats connected by transit tubes, sensor arrays pointed inward for observation rather than defense, and minimal visible security beyond standard docking protocols. The UNSC Prowler Silent Reaper, a stealth corvette designed for reconnaissance operations, approached the station with active camouflage engaged and all non-essential systems powered down. Aboard were Master Chief, Blue Team, Commander Palmer, a squad of ODSTs, and Captain Lasky himself. Roland monitored every sensor feed, analyzing the station's emissions for threats that might be invisible to human perception. "Station security is minimal," Roland reported, his avatar appearing on the Prowler's bridge display. 3 droid sentries at the main docking bay. Standard access protocols, no weapons charged. Either this is genuinely a research facility with light security, or it's the most elaborate trap I've encountered, and I helped hunt created forces across 3 star systems. "Assume it's both until proven otherwise," Lasky ordered. "Chief, your team has point. Standard reconnaissance protocols, assess, document, and extract if things turn hostile. Palmer, ODSTs provide backup and secure our exit route. I'll handle the diplomatic contact with station personnel." "Affirmative," Chief replied, checking his MA-5D's ammo counter. Full magazine, 2 spares. Blue Team had armed for scientific reconnaissance rather than assault operations, but Spartans could turn any environment into a battlefield if necessary. The Prowler docked with barely perceptible contact. Magnetic clamps engaging with the station's umbilical as the airlock cycled through pressurization. The moment the inner door opened, Chief's motion tracker lit up with contacts. 3 signatures, humanoid configuration, moving with mechanical precision. B-1 battle droids, their basic programming running security subroutines. "Halt! Identify!" one vocabulated with typical droid inflection. This is restricted Separatist facility. Authorization required for... Chief raised one hand, a universal gesture for peaceful intent that transcended galactic boundaries. We have authorization from Count Dooku, access code Delta 794 Sierra. The lead droid's optical sensors flickered as it processed the code through its limited intelligence. Authorization confirmed. Welcome UNSC personnel. Please proceed to Laboratory Section 3. Director Krennic awaits. The droid stepped aside with mechanical efficiency, and Blue Team advanced into the station with practiced tactical formation. Chief on point, Kelly and Fred flanking, Linda providing overwatch from elevated positions when available. The station's interior confirmed its research. Focus. Laboratories visible through transparent steel windows showed complex equipment analyzing data streams. Scientists of various species worked at terminals displaying equations and energy readings. And everywhere were holographic projections of dimensional mathematics that even Roland took several milliseconds to begin deciphering. This is legitimate scientific research, Roland observed, his processing cores analyzing visible data. Hyperspace mechanics, quantum entanglement studies, spatial temporal field manipulation. Some of this is theoretical cutting edge, even by Forerunner standards. These Separatist researchers are exploring physics that could provide insights into our slipspace drive damage. Or insights into how to trap us here permanently, Palmer countered through the squad channel, her Spartan instincts remaining suspicious despite evidence of legitimate research. They reached Laboratory Section 3, where a human male in researcher's attire waited, middle-aged, intense eyes, and the bearing of someone who valued results over protocol. Captain Lasky, Master Chief, he greeted with minimal courtesy. I'm Director Orson Krennic, Chief Researcher of Advanced Propulsion Systems for the Separatist Alliance. Count Dooku informed me you'd arrived from another galaxy through dimensional displacement. Fascinating, absolutely fascinating. Director, Lasky replied, maintaining diplomatic formality despite Krennic's academic enthusiasm. We appreciate the Separatist Alliance offering research assistance, but we need to understand what you're proposing and what you expect in return before committing to cooperation. Of course, Krennic gestured for them to follow, leading them deeper into the laboratory complex. Count Dooku explained your situation. Your vessel utilized something called slipspace technology that operates on different principles than our hyperspace. You encountered a Forerunner artifact that created a dimensional bridge, transporting your ship across not just spatial distances, but dimensional barriers. Now you're stranded here, hoping to either repair your drive or understand the phenomenon well enough to replicate it intentionally. Accurate summary, Roland confirmed through Lasky's comm. How much did Dooku tell you about our technology? Very little, Krennic admitted, and something like frustration colored his voice. Which is why I need your cooperation. Our hyperspace technology has theoretical limits. We can't travel between galaxies efficiently, and we've never achieved true dimensional displacement. But your slipspace drive apparently can, even if you don't fully control it. If I could examine your drive's operational principles, compare them to our hyperspace mechanics, I might identify commonalities that explain the dimensional bridge phenomenon. You want access to our ship's drive systems, Chief stated, recognizing the ask beneath the scientific language. I want to understand. Principles, Krennic corrected. I don't need complete schematics or classified technical specifications. Just enough information to model how your drive interacts with space-time differently than ours. Think of it as translation. Your science and our science speak different languages, but describe the same underlying reality. I'm offering to serve as translator." They entered a massive laboratory chamber, dominated by holographic displays showing complex mathematical models. Chief's Spartan training included advanced physics, necessary for understanding the technology he fought with. But these equations exceeded his formal education. Fortunately, Roland had no such limitations. "These are dimensional field equations," the AI analyzed, processing data at inhuman speeds. Director Krennic has been modeling theoretical dimensional bridges based on quantum entanglement and spatial folding. It's sophisticated work, decades ahead of Republic mainstream science. If he had even partial data on our slipspace drive's field generation, he could refine these models significantly. "And what would the Separatists do with that knowledge?" Palmer asked suspiciously. Krennic turned to face the Spartan commander with scientific intensity that bordered on zealotry. "Create dimensional drive technology that could revolutionize galactic travel. Imagine hyperspace drives that could bypass spatial distances entirely, moving ships between points by slipping through dimensional barriers rather than traveling through normal space. Travel times reduced from days to minutes, entire fleets deployed across the galaxy instantly. It would fundamentally change warfare, commerce, exploration, everything. It would also give the Separatists overwhelming strategic advantage," Lasky observed, "which is why you're so eager to help us, not out of scientific curiosity, but because our technology represents a weapon you can exploit." "Can't it be both?" Krennic challenged. "Yes, the Separatist Alliance would benefit militarily from advanced dimensional travel, but so would the Republic if they develop it first. So would any faction in any galaxy. New technology always creates military applications. That doesn't make the science itself malevolent. It makes the science dangerous in the wrong hands," Chief said. "We've encountered civilizations that develop technology beyond their wisdom to use it responsibly. The results are usually extinction or near-extinction events. The Forerunners created the Halo Array, weapons that could sterilize the galaxy, and came within moments of activating them. Humanity reverse-engineered Covenant technology without understanding its full implications, and nearly destroyed ourselves multiple times. Power without wisdom is just another way to commit suicide." Krennic's expression showed frustration with the philosophical concerns constraining his scientific ambitions. "So you'll refuse cooperation because you fear what we might create with the knowledge? That's remarkably short-sighted, Master Chief. You're stranded in an alien galaxy. Your primary objective is returning home, and you're letting moral concerns about hypothetical future weapons prevent you from accepting help that could achieve your mission." "We're letting experience inform caution," Lasky corrected. "The UNSC has been offered help by faction actors before. Sometimes that help was genuine. Sometimes it was manipulation designed to exploit our desperation. We've learned to evaluate assistance based on the helper's motivations, not just the immediate benefit." "Then evaluate this," Krennic said, activating a holographic display that showed detailed schematics of what appeared to be an experimental drive system. "This is a prototype dimensional resonance engine based on modified hyperspace technology. It's non-functional because we lack understanding of how to generate stable dimensional fields. But if your AI, Roland, could provide mathematical models of how your slipspace drive generates its fields, I could refine this prototype into a working system, not a weapon, not a military application, a single experimental drive that you could install on your Prowler or similar vessel and use to attempt dimensional travel back to your galaxy." The offer hung in the laboratory air, tempting in its simplicity. Roland analyzed the schematics with AI thoroughness, and Chief could almost hear the digital equivalent of thoughtful consideration. The design is theoretically sound, Roland reported to the UNSC personnel through private comms. If properly calibrated with slip-space field data, it might actually work. Not as reliably as Infinity's full slip-space drive, but potentially sufficient for a single-dimensional jump. Of course, might work and actually works are separated by extensive testing and significant risk of catastrophic failure. "What are you not telling us?" Chief asked Krennic directly, his decades of experience detecting the information people omitted more than what they said. The scientist paused, recognizing he'd been read. "The prototype requires exotic matter for dimensional field stabilization, matter that doesn't exist naturally in this galaxy, but that your slip-space drive apparently generates or accesses during jump procedures. Without understanding how you create or harness that exotic matter, the drive remains theoretical." "So you need more than just field equations," Palmer stated. "You need access to our actual drive core. Physical examination, not just mathematical models." "Yes," Krennic admitted, "but limited access. I don't need to dismantle your drive or steal its components. I need sensor readings during a controlled slip-space field activation, measure the exotic matter generation, analyze the field topology, document the dimensional interface. Then I can replicate those conditions in this prototype." "Absolutely not," Palmer declared immediately. "We're not activating our slip-space drive in an unfamiliar galaxy where we don't understand the physical laws. That's how ships disappear into dimensional rifts and never return." "It's also how you got here in the first place," Krennic countered. "Your drive worked. It transported you across dimensional barriers. That means the underlying physics are compatible, even if the specific conditions differ from your home galaxy. A controlled activation under laboratory conditions, with full monitoring and fail-safes, would be significantly safer than your original uncontrolled jump." Chief exchanged glances with Blue Team. Silent communication through gestures invisible to non-Spartans. Kelly shifted her stance slightly. Caution. Fred's hand moved near his sidearm. Suspicion. Linda's posture remained perfectly still. Assessment ongoing, judgment withheld. "We need to discuss this privately," Lasky stated. "Director Krennic, thank you for the presentation. We'll review your proposal and respond through appropriate channels." "Of course," Krennic said, though frustration was evident. "But understand, the longer you delay, the more entrenched you become in this galaxy's conflicts. Eventually, neutrality becomes impossible. The Republic will demand you choose them or be classified as Separatist supporters. The war has a way of forcing everyone to take sides. Accepting our research assistance now, while you still have leverage, is strategically sound regardless of your moral concerns about technology proliferation." He wasn't wrong, Chief acknowledged internally. The UNSC's position was inherently unstable, powerful enough to be valuable, foreign enough to be unpredictable, and neutral enough to be distrusted by both factions. Eventually, circumstances would force choices that compromised that neutrality. But Spartans were trained to make impossible choices. The question was whether this was one of them. Back aboard the Silent Reaper, the UNSC personnel gathered in the small briefing room, while Roland processed all data collected from the research station. "Analysis?" Lasky prompted. "Director Krennic is brilliant, ambitious, and absolutely willing to sacrifice ethics for results," Roland reported. "His dimensional resonance engine design is legitimate. It could work if properly calibrated, but he's also operating with incomplete information. Some of his theoretical models make assumptions about dimensional physics that are correct by coincidence rather than understanding. If he gets access to our slipspace drive, he'll learn things that could accelerate Separatist research by decades." which gives them military advantages that could extend this war, Palmer concluded. Possibly, Roland agreed, though it's equally possible the technology could end the war. If one side achieves overwhelming strategic mobility, the conflict might conclude faster through technological supremacy rather than prolonged attrition. That's cold calculus, Lasky observed. I'm an AI. Cold calculus is my specialty, Roland replied with what might have been digital humor. But the strategic question remains. Do we accept separatist assistance that could get us home but might extend their war? Or do we refuse and potentially remain stranded while trying to develop solutions independently? Chief had remained silent during the discussion, processing variables through Spartan tactical assessment protocols. Finally, he spoke. We're asking the wrong question. All attention turned to the armored Spartan. The question isn't whether we accept separatist help, Chief continued. The question is whether we trust Krennic's prototype will actually work, or whether this is elaborate deception to gain access to our technology. Dooku wants intelligence on our capabilities. Krennic wants our drive data. They're offering exactly what we need in exchange for exactly what they want. That's too convenient. You think it's a trap, Fred stated, understanding where his team leader's analysis led. I think it's leverage, Chief corrected. They're creating a situation where our desperation to get home makes us willing to trade critical technology. If the prototype actually works, they benefit from what they learn. If it fails, they still gained intelligence on our systems. Either way, the Separatists win. So we refuse? Kelly asked. No, Chief said, surprising everyone. We test whether they're serious. Roland, can you create false data, slipspace field readings that appear legitimate but don't reveal actual drive mechanics? The AI's avatar brightened with understanding. Yes, I can generate synthetic sensor data that matches theoretical predictions of what slipspace fields should look like based on our understanding of this galaxy's physics. It would be convincing enough to satisfy Krennic's analysis without revealing classified operational principles. Essentially, we'd be giving him homework that keeps him busy, but doesn't actually help him replicate our technology. And if he accepts the false data as genuine, Lasky continued, catching on to Chief's strategy, we know he's operating in good faith based on scientific curiosity, but if he identifies the data as false or demands more direct access, then we know it was always about intelligence gathering, not helping us, Palmer finished. That's actually clever, Chief. We maintain the appearance of cooperation while testing their true intentions. Spartans are trained in deception operations, Chief stated. Intelligence warfare is just another battlefield. If Dooku and Krennic want to play those games, we've had decades of practice against opponents far more sophisticated than separatist intelligence. Lasky nodded approval. All right, Roland, prepare the false data package. Make it look legitimate enough to pass cursory analysis, but fundamentally useless for actual drive replication. We'll transmit it to Krennic with the story that we're offering preliminary readings to demonstrate good faith before committing to full cooperation. Then we wait and see how he responds. And in the meantime, Palmer asked. In the meantime, we continue evaluating both factions, Lasky decided. The Republic offers political legitimacy and Jedi support. The Separatists offer research facilities and fewer bureaucratic restrictions. We gather intelligence on both, maintain neutrality, and make final decisions based on complete information rather than partial data. Sir, Roland interjected, his tone shifting to something more serious. While we were at the research station, I detected unusual communication patterns in local subspace, encrypted transmissions using protocols I've never encountered Not Republic, not Separatist, but something else. The encryption is sophisticated enough that even my processing power can only confirm the transmissions exist, not decode their content. Third faction? Chief asked, his tactical awareness immediately flagging the new variable. Possibly. Or a covert intelligence network operating within one of the existing factions. Either way, someone is watching our movements and communicating information we're not privy to. We're not as unobserved as we believed. The briefing room fell silent as the implications settled. The UNSC had arrived, assuming they were the primary unknown variable in this conflict. But what if they weren't? What if there were other actors, hidden players manipulating events toward purposes the Infinity's crew couldn't yet perceive? Log it as a potential threat, Lasky ordered. Continue monitoring for those transmissions, and everyone remains on heightened alert. We're operating in an intelligence environment we don't fully understand, which means assuming every action is observed and every communication is compromised. Standard operating procedure for enemy territory, Chief confirmed. Except they weren't in enemy territory. They were in a galaxy that wasn't their enemy, but wasn't their friend either. A complex political landscape where allies could be manipulators, assistants could be traps, and neutrality might be the most dangerous position of all. Spartans had survived worse. But Chief was beginning to understand why getting home might be far more complicated than simply repairing their drive and jumping back to the Milky Way. Because in this galaxy, nothing was as simple as it appeared. And somewhere in the shadows, forces they couldn't yet identify were watching, planning, and waiting to see what these warriors from another reality would do next. The Jedi Temple on Coruscant had stood for millennia as a monument to peace, wisdom, and the light side of the Force. Its 5 spires reached toward the sky, visible from across the planet-wide city, symbolizing the Order's role as guardians of the Republic. But tonight, in the council chamber at the temple's peak, the atmosphere was anything but peaceful. Unacceptable, Mace Windu's voice carried the authority of a warrior monk who had faced darkness across the galaxy and never yielded. The UNSC met with Count Dooku without informing us until after the fact. They're negotiating with Separatist leadership, potentially receiving technology or intelligence that could shift the war's balance. This is not neutrality. This is playing both sides. Obi-Wan Kenobi stood near the chamber's windows, looking out across Coruscant's endless cityscape while considering his response. They informed us immediately after the meeting concluded. Captain Lasky was transparent about Dooku's offer. Research assistance in exchange for information sharing. They've made no commitments and are evaluating the proposal. That's precisely what neutral actors should do. Gather information from all parties before making decisions. And while they gather information, they're providing the Separatists with intelligence on UNSC capabilities, Ki-Adi-Mundi added, his elongated cranium making his expression hard to read, but his concern evident. Dooku is a master manipulator. He'll exploit their unfamiliarity with our galaxy, offer assistance that seems beneficial while extracting strategic intelligence. By the time the UNSC realizes they've been compromised, the Separatists will have developed countermeasures to their kinetic weapons and armor technology. Assuming Dooku hasn't already, Plo Koon's masked voice interjected thoughtfully. The UNSC's first deployment was against Separatist forces on Christophsis. Grievous transmitted detailed combat data before his capture. The Separatists have recordings of Spartan combat capabilities, weapon characteristics, and tactical protocols. Whatever intelligence advantage the UNSC hoped to maintain is already compromised. Yoda sat in his customary seat, his ancient eyes closed in meditation, feeling the currents of the Force swirl around this situation like eddies in a turbulent stream. Finally, he spoke, his voice carrying the weight of 8 centuries of experience. Clouded, the future has become. A disturbance in the force these UNSC soldiers create. Outside our sight they stand, yet affecting destiny they are. Mistake it would be to push them toward sides. Neutrality they claim. Respect that, we must. Master Yoda, Anakin interjected, his usual restraint fraying under strategic concerns. Respecting their neutrality is fine when they're evacuating civilians, but they're now actively engaging with Separatist leadership, potentially accessing research that could help them develop dimensional travel. If they leave this galaxy with that knowledge, if they can travel between realities, the implications are staggering. That's technology that could reshape everything. Or destroy everything, Obi-Wan countered. Anakin, think through the scenario. If the UNSC develops reliable dimensional travel and returns to their galaxy, what have we lost? A powerful but neutral force that wasn't committed to helping us anyway. But if we demand they choose sides, if we pressure them into alliance through threats or manipulation, what do we gain? Reluctant allies who resent our coercion, or enemies with capabilities we've barely begun to understand. We gain clarity, Mace Windu stated firmly. The Clone Wars has reached a critical phase. The Separatists control significant territory, their droid production continues unabated, and resources are stretched across both sides. A force with the UNSC's military capability could tip the balance decisively. Having them remain neutral is strategically untenable. Then perhaps, a new voice interjected, the Council should consider why forcing everyone to choose sides has become standard Republic policy. All eyes turned to Ahsoka Tano, who stood near the chamber's edge. Not a full Council member, but invited to this session, given her direct contact with UNSC personnel. The young Togruta met the Council's attention with the directness that had made her both a promising Padawan and a frequent source of diplomatic complications. "What do you mean, young Tano?" Yoda prompted, his expression curious rather than reproachful. "I mean the UNSC is right to be cautious," Ahsoka explained, stepping forward with the courage of youth and genuine conviction. "They've told us they come from a galaxy where they fought extinction wars, conflicts where entire species were threatened with genocide. They've survived by making careful alliances, gathering complete intelligence, and not committing to causes they don't fully understand. From their perspective, our Clone Wars looks like a civil conflict, with legitimate grievances on both sides that spiraled into galactic-scale violence. Why should they trust either faction when both have committed atrocities in the name of political objectives? The Republic represents democracy and justice," Ki-Adi-Mundi said, though his tone suggested even he recognized how hollow the words sounded after 3 years of grinding warfare. "Does it?" Ahsoka challenged. The UNSC asked about clone rights. They pointed out that we use living beings created solely for warfare, denied citizenship, treated as military property. They asked how that aligns with Republic values of freedom and democracy. None of us had good answers because there aren't good answers. We've compromised our principles for military necessity, just like the Separatists have. From an outside perspective, we're both morally compromised. The silence that followed was uncomfortable because Ahsoka had articulated truths most council members preferred not to examine too closely. The clone army had been a gift and a curse. Military capability that saved the Republic, but at the cost of creating an entire class of beings denied basic rights. "The young one speaks wisdom beyond her years," Yoda observed quietly. "Perspective the UNSC provides. Mirror they hold to our actions. Uncomfortable that reflection is, but valuable it may prove. Valuable philosophically, perhaps, Mace Windu conceded reluctantly. But strategically, we need to ensure the UNSC doesn't become a separatist asset. If Dooku convinces them that the Confederacy's cause is legitimate, then we'll have failed to present a better case. Obi-Wan interrupted. Master Windu, the UNSC isn't some naive political faction to be manipulated through rhetoric. They're experienced warriors with decades of combat against existential threats. They'll evaluate both sides based on actions, not words. If we want their respect, not necessarily their alliance, but their respect, we need to demonstrate that the Republic's principles are more than propaganda. How do you propose we do that? Anakin asked, genuinely curious about his former master's thinking. By addressing the issues they've identified, Obi-Wan replied. Clone rights, for instance. The UNSC was disturbed by how we treat the clones. What if we pushed for Senate legislation granting clones citizenship and basic rights? It wouldn't pass immediately. Too many entrenched interests oppose it, but the effort would demonstrate Republic commitment to its stated values. That's politically complicated, Plo Koon noted. The clone creation contracts with Kamino, the legal frameworks governing military resources, the economic implications of treating clones as citizens, it would require years of legislative work. Then we start now, Obi-Wan said firmly, and we make sure the UNSC knows we're starting. Show them that Republic democracy, however flawed, can still reform itself. That unlike the Separatist autocracy under Dooku's leadership, we have mechanisms for addressing injustice. Yoda's ears perked up with interest. Wise this approach is. Through example, we teach. Through action, we demonstrate values. Words alone, insufficient they are. Deeds, more powerful they prove. I'll draft the proposal, Anakin volunteered, surprising several council members. I've fought beside the clones for 3 years. They deserve rights, regardless of what the UNSC thinks. If presenting that proposal also helps maintain good relations with our guests, then it serves multiple purposes. Mace Windu studied Anakin with an expression that mixed approval and concern. The young Jedi's passion for justice was admirable, but passion could also lead to dangerous places. Still, in this instance, his instincts aligned with the Council's interests. Very well, Windu agreed. But understand, we're not changing Republic policy to impress foreign soldiers. We're considering changes because they're right. The UNSC's presence simply provides additional impetus for reforms we should have pursued years ago. Agreed, Obi-Wan confirmed. Now, regarding their meeting with Dooku, should we request they share intelligence on Separatist research capabilities? If Dooku is offering access to advanced facilities, we should know what technology they're developing. That would violate the information sharing agreement we established, Ahsoka pointed out. We told them we'd provide navigation data and strategic intelligence. They've honored that agreement. If we start demanding intelligence on their diplomatic contacts, we're treating them as assets rather than allies. That's exactly the kind of behavior that would push them toward the Separatists. The Padawan is correct, Yoda confirmed. Trust we must build, not through demands, but through respect. Inform Captain Lasky that Senate considering clone rights legislation we will. Offer continued cooperation on humanitarian operations. Ask if Jedi combat trainers could work with Spartans. Knowledge exchange. Both sides benefit. Build relationship, not extract intelligence. I'll coordinate with Captain Lasky, Obi-Wan volunteered. He struck me as a reasonable commander, operating under difficult circumstances. If we approach him with genuine cooperation, rather than strategic manipulation, I believe we can maintain positive relations. And Master Chief? Anakin asked. He's their premier warrior. Former Padawan or not, I'd like to understand how he fights without Force abilities. His combat against Grievous was instructive. You wish to spar with him, Obi-Wan translated with slight amusement. I wish to learn from him, Anakin corrected. He defeated one of the most dangerous beings in the galaxy using pure tactics, superior equipment, and decades of experience. If Jedi can learn from that, if I can incorporate those lessons into our training, we become more effective at protecting the Republic. Or you want to see if you could beat him, Ahsoka muttered just loud enough to be heard. That too, Anakin admitted with complete honesty that made several council members suppress smiles. Propose it through proper channels, Mace Windu instructed. Training exchange. Spartans learn about Force combat. Jedi learn about kinetic warfare tactics. It serves both parties and builds the relationship Yoda wisely suggests we cultivate. But Anakin... Windu's expression turned serious. Master Chief is not an opponent to be underestimated. He's survived 40 years of warfare against enemies we can barely imagine. If you spar with him, do so with respect for his capabilities, not arrogance about your Force abilities. I understand, Master. The council session continued for another hour, discussing logistics, strategic implications, and contingency plans if the UNSC decided to ally with either faction or neither. But the fundamental decision had been made. The Republic would pursue genuine cooperation rather than manipulative recruitment, would address moral failings the UNSC had identified, and would treat these warriors from another galaxy as potential friends rather than tools to be exploited. It was, in its way, a test of whether the Republic could still live up to the ideals it claimed to defend. Aboard the Infinity, Master Chief reviewed after-action reports from the research station visit, while Blue Team conducted equipment maintenance in the Spartan Ready Room. The reports were thorough. Roland's analysis of Krennic's dimensional resonance engine, Palmer's security assessment, tactical evaluations of potential Separatist capabilities. But Chief's mind kept returning to one element: the encrypted transmissions Roland had detected. Someone was watching UNSC operations and communicating that information through channels neither Republic nor Separatist used. A third party with unknown interests and significant intelligence capabilities. Chief, Kelly's voice interrupted his review. You're thinking too hard. I can hear your brain processing from here. We're missing something, Chief replied, not bothering to deny the observation. The Clone Wars, the factions, the technology, something doesn't fit. It's like fighting Covenant forces when we didn't know about the Prophets. We could see the warriors, understand their tactics, but we were missing the strategic picture of who was actually directing the war. You think someone's directing both sides? Fred asked, his tactical mind immediately engaging with the strategic assessment. I think wars this large don't happen by accident, Chief said. The Republic and Separatists have legitimate grievances, but the conflict escalated too quickly, became too total. Someone benefits from prolonged warfare. We need to identify who. That's above our pay grade, Linda observed from her position, cleaning her sniper rifle. We're soldiers, not intelligence analysts. Our mission is protection of civilians and finding a way home. Galactic conspiracy theories are someone else's problem. Unless the conspiracy affects our mission, Chief countered. If someone is manipulating this war, they might also be manipulating our involvement. Dooku's offer was too convenient. Krennic's research was too perfectly aligned with our needs. What if we're being positioned as another piece in someone's game? Kelly's expression turned thoughtful. You're thinking like the Gravemind, assuming every action is part of a larger pattern, that nothing happens without purpose. Sometimes coincidences are just coincidences, Chief. "Spartans don't believe in coincidence," Fred said, quoting their training. "We believe in preparation, tactics, and probability management. If something seems too convenient, it probably is." Before Chief could respond, his helmet comm activated with Captain Lasky's voice. "Master Chief, report to the bridge. We have incoming communication from Jedi General Kenobi. He's requesting a meeting to discuss potential training exchange between Spartans and Jedi. Thought you'd want to be part of that conversation." "On my way," Chief confirmed, then turned to Blue Team. "Continue equipment maintenance. Stay ready for deployment. If this training exchange happens, we'll need to demonstrate Spartan capabilities without revealing classified tactics." "Standard operating procedure," Kelly confirmed. "Show enough to build rapport. Hold back enough to maintain operational security. We've done this before." Chief nodded and departed for the bridge, his armored footsteps echoing through the Infinity's corridors. Marines and crew personnel moved aside respectfully as he passed, not out of fear but recognition of what the armor represented. Spartans were humanity's protectors, and Master Chief was the ultimate expression of that ideal. On the bridge, Captain Lasky stood near the holographic communications display where Obi-Wan Kenobi's image appeared in full detail. The technology of this galaxy allowed higher fidelity transmissions than UNSC systems. "Master Chief," Obi-Wan greeted with genuine warmth, "thank you for joining us. I've been discussing with Captain Lasky a proposal that might benefit both our organizations. The Jedi Order would like to invite Spartan personnel to participate in combat training exercises at our temple on Coruscant. In exchange, we'd offer to share our understanding of force-enhanced combat, lightsaber techniques and tactical approaches developed over thousands of years." "Knowledge exchange," Chief translated. "You want to understand how we fight without force abilities. We want to understand how force users enhance combat effectiveness." "Precisely," Obi-Wan confirmed without attempting to hide the strategic value. "Both sides learn from each other. Both sides build understanding that could prove valuable if we face common threats. And personally, I believe warriors respect warriors. Training together builds trust more effectively than diplomatic negotiations." Chief considered the proposal through multiple lenses. Tactically, observing Jedi combat would provide invaluable intelligence on Force user capabilities and limitations. Strategically, strengthening Republic relations maintained the UNSC's balanced position between factions. And personally, Chief had spent 40 years fighting alongside the best soldiers humanity produced. Training with warriors who used mystical abilities to enhance combat would be genuinely interesting. "What's the format?" Chief asked. "Live combat, simulations, lecture-based training?" "A combination," Obi-Wan replied. "We'd begin with demonstrations, Jedi showing force techniques, Spartans showing your kinetic weapons and armor capabilities, then progress to controlled sparring matches using training sabers and simunition ammunition. Finally, combined tactical exercises where mixed teams of Jedi and Spartans work together against simulated threats, a full week of intensive training." "And Anakin Skywalker?" Chief asked, having observed the younger Jedi's competitive nature during their previous meeting. Obi-Wan's expression showed amusement and slight exasperation. "Yes, Anakin is particularly interested in testing himself against Spartan capabilities. I've counseled him to approach this as a learning experience rather than a competition, but..." The Jedi shrugged eloquently. "He's young, powerful, and has never encountered warriors quite like you. A certain amount of competitive spirit is inevitable." "Understood," Chief replied, thinking of all the times younger Spartans had wanted to test themselves against his experience. Blue team will participate. Standard protocols, demonstrate competence, gather intelligence, build rapport. We'll show them what Spartans can do." "Excellent," Obi-Wan's hologram smiled. "We'll arrange transport to Coruscant and temple accommodations. This should prove enlightening for both our organizations." As the transmission ended, Lasky turned to Chief with an expression that mixed approval and concern. "You're walking into their home territory where they have every advantage. If this turns hostile—" "It won't," Chief interrupted with confidence born from decades of assessment. "The Jedi value honor, they respect warriors, and they genuinely want to learn from us. This isn't a trap, it's exactly what Obi-Wan said. Warriors building trust through shared combat. That's a language Spartans speak fluently." "Just remember," Lasky cautioned, "these Jedi can read emotions through the Force, predict your movements through precognition, and manipulate your perceptions through telepathy. You're used to being the most dangerous thing in any room. Here, you might not be." Chief's helmet turned toward his captain, and though Lasky couldn't see the expression behind the golden visor, he somehow knew the Spartan was smiling. "Good," Chief said simply. "It's been a while since I faced opponents who could actually challenge me. This should be interesting." And with that, Master Chief Petty Officer John 117 departed to prepare Blue Team for what would become one of the most memorable training exercises in either the UNSC or Jedi Order's history. Because when super soldiers met Force warriors, when kinetic weapons faced lightsabers, when tactical precision challenged mystical abilities, the results would be spectacular. The Jedi Temple's primary training hall was a marvel of architecture and function, a massive chamber with adjustable gravity plating, holographic emitters capable of creating complex combat scenarios, and duracrete reinforced to withstand lightsaber strikes and Force techniques. Today, it hosted an audience that had never gathered for any previous training exercise. The Jedi Council, elite Jedi Knights, senior Padawans, and assembled clone commanders all stood along the chamber's observation platforms. And in the center of the hall, facing each other across 30 meters of open space, stood two groups who represented entirely different philosophies of warfare. On one side, Master Chief, Blue Team, and Fire Team Osiris, 8 Spartans in full Mjolnir armor, armed with MA-5D assault rifles loaded with training rounds that wouldn't penetrate energy shields or cause lethal damage to organics. They stood in loose formation, motion trackers active, shields charged, representing humanity's pinnacle of military engineering and superhuman capability. On the other side, Jedi Masters Obi-Wan Kenobi and Mace Windu, Jedi Knights Anakin Skywalker and Ayla Secura, and 4 additional Jedi, including Ahsoka Tano, 9 Force users wielding training lightsabers that could deliver painful electric shocks but wouldn't cut through armor or flesh. They stood in traditional Jedi-ready stances, their connection to the Force allowing each to sense the other's presence, while the Spartans remained strange voids in their mystical perception. Before we begin, Obi-Wan addressed both groups with diplomatic formality. Let's establish the parameters. This is training, not combat. The objective is mutual learning and building tactical understanding, not proving superiority. We'll conduct 3 exercises. First, a demonstration phase, where both sides show their basic capabilities. Second, a sparring match between individual combatants. Third, a combined tactical exercise where mixed teams face simulated threats together. "Rules of engagement?" Chief asked, his voice carrying across the hall through his helmet's external speakers. "Training sabers deliver electrical charge on contact, painful but not damaging," Mace Windu explained. "Your training rounds similarly incapacitate without permanent harm. 3 hits from either weapon system and you're considered eliminated from the exercise. Medical teams stand ready for any accidents, though we've taken every precaution to prevent serious injury." "Understood," Chief confirmed. "Spartans are ready to begin." "Then let us demonstrate what the Jedi Order has learned over millennia of combat," Obi-Wan said, igniting his blue lightsaber. Around him, the other Jedi activated their training sabers, blue, green, and in Mace Windu's case, a distinctive purple blade that hummed with barely contained power. The demonstration phase began with Jedi showcasing basic Force techniques. Obi-Wan raised his hand, and a training dummy, weighing several hundred kilograms, lifted into the air through telekinesis, floating effortlessly before being hurled across the chamber with lethal velocity. Mace Windu demonstrated Force speed. Moving so quickly he became a blur, crossing 40 meters in under a second. Anakin showed Force push, an invisible wave of kinetic energy that would have shattered bones if used at full power. "They're fast," Kelly observed through the squad channel, "faster than elites when they use that speed technique. And the telekinesis gives them ranged attack options we can't easily counter." "Note the concentration required," Fred countered his Spartan training, focusing on tactical assessment. "When they use Force abilities, there's a brief moment of focus, a tell. If we can identify those tells, we can predict when abilities are being used and adjust tactics accordingly." Linda said nothing, but her sniper rifle tracked each Jedi's movements, calculating firing solutions based on observed speed and movement patterns. Her augmented reflexes and decades of experience made her one of humanity's deadliest sharpshooters. Even Force-enhanced speed had limitations she could exploit. Then came the Spartan demonstration. Chief raised his MA-5D and fired a 3-round burst at a distant target, Duracrete pylons designed to withstand lightsaber strikes. The kinetic round struck with such force that the first pylon cracked, the second shattered, and the third developed spiderweb fractures from a single burst. "By the Force," Ahsoka breathed from the Jedi side. "Those are just training rounds. Reduced velocity and non-penetrating tips," Commander Palmer explained from the observation deck, through the hall's speakers. "Full combat rounds travel at over 2,000 meters per second and can penetrate most armor in this galaxy. What you're seeing is approximately 30% of standard lethality." Kelly demonstrated Spartan speed, not Force-enhanced, just pure augmented physiology and Mjolnir power. She crossed 50 meters in under 3 seconds, faster than most beings could track without Force enhancement. Fred threw a training grenade that detonated with enough concussive force to knock over reinforced barriers. Linda fired her sniper rifle at a target 800 meters away and struck with perfect precision, a shot that would have been impossible for most organic beings without technological assistance. "They don't use the Force," Obi-Wan murmured to Mace Windu, "yet they achieve similar results through technology and augmentation. Fascinating and troubling." "Troubling how?" Windu asked. "Because it means Force users aren't unique," Obi-Wan replied quietly. "We've always held that the Force makes us special, gives us capabilities no technology can replicate. These Spartans prove that's not entirely true. They can match our speed, exceed our strength, and their weapons hit harder than most Force techniques. It forces us to reconsider assumptions we've held for millennia." Phase 2 began. Individual sparring matches. "First match," Obi-Wan announced. "Myself against Master Chief. Standard engagement, 3 hits to eliminate. Begin when ready." Chief and Obi-Wan moved to the center of the training hall, circling each other with the caution of experienced warriors assessing unknown opponents. Chief's motion tracker showed Obi-Wan's position, but the Jedi moved with preternatural grace that suggested he knew where Chief would move before the Spartan did. precognition, Chief recognized. He's seeing probable futures through the Force. Standard tactics won't work. So Chief employed non-standard tactics. He fired his MA-5D not at Obi-Wan, but at the Duracrete floor between them. 20 rounds in rapid succession that shattered the reinforced surface and sent debris flying in all directions. Obi-Wan's lightsaber deflected most of the fragments, but the dust cloud disrupted his visual targeting, and the concussive impacts from kinetic rounds forced him to shift position defensively. Chief advanced through the cloud using his motion tracker, which wasn't affected by visual obstructions. He emerged directly in front of Obi-Wan, closer than the Jedi expected, and delivered an armored punch that would have killed a normal human. Obi-Wan barely deflected the strike with a Force-enhanced block, but the impact still sent him sliding backward several meters. "Impressive," the Jedi acknowledged. "You negated my Force precognition by attacking the environment, rather than me directly. I couldn't predict what you'd do because even you didn't know exactly how the debris would scatter." "Tactical adaptation," Chief confirmed. "Your precognition works on probability and intent. I presented multiple equally probable actions simultaneously and forced you to react rather than predict." "A lesson worth learning," Obi-Wan said, then attacked with Sora Su, Form 3 lightsaber combat, the most defensive style. His blade moved in tight patterns that created an almost impenetrable defense, while his footwork kept him mobile and positioned for counterattacks. Chief switched tactics again. He activated his thruster pack and launched himself upward and backward, vertical mobility that few opponents in this galaxy utilized. From his elevated position, he fired controlled bursts that Obi-Wan had to deflect while managing multiple attack angles. The training saber could deflect the kinetic rounds barely, but each impact drained Obi-Wan's concentration and physical stamina. Unlike blaster bolts that energy weapons produced, kinetic projectiles had mass and momentum that couldn't simply be redirected. They had to be actively deflected, which required force proportional to their velocity. After 30 seconds of sustained assault, Obi-Wan's defense showed microscopic gaps. Chief exploited one. A single round struck Obi-Wan's shoulder, triggering the training round's electric charge. First hit. "Point to Master Chief, Mace," Windu announced. "Continue." Obi-Wan shifted strategies using Force speed to close distance and Force push to create space when Chief attempted kinetic saturation. The Jedi's decades of combat experience showed in how he adapted, not trying to overpower the Spartan, but using mobility and Force techniques to avoid Chief's advantages while exploiting brief windows for counterattack. A training saber strike grazed Chief's shield. The plasma blade drained shield energy with frightening efficiency. First hit to Chief. The match continued for 5 more minutes, both combatants testing each other's limits, adapting tactics and demonstrating why they were among their respective civilizations' finest warriors. Finally, Chief managed 2 more hits through overwhelming fire superiority, while Obi-Wan landed 1 additional strike during a brief moment when Chief's shields were recharging. "Match to Master Chief, 3-2, Windu declared. "Excellent combat from both sides." Obi-Wan deactivated his training saber, breathing heavily but smiling. "You fight like nothing I've encountered, Master Chief. No force, yet you predicted my moves, adapted to my tactics, and forced me into reactions rather than strategic positioning. If all Spartans fight with that capability..." "They do," Chief confirmed simply. "Different specializations, but the same fundamental training. We're bred and built for exactly this kind of combat." "Terrifying," Obi-Wan admitted honestly, "and magnificent. I look forward to learning more." The next several matches produced mixed results. Anakin defeated Kelly through sheer Force-enhanced aggression, But Kelly's speed gave him more trouble than he'd anticipated. The young Jedi admitted afterward he'd nearly lost twice. Mace Windu faced Fred and won through superior tactical positioning and Va-Pad, Form 7 combat that turned opponents' aggression against them. But Fred's disciplined Spartan training meant there was minimal aggression to exploit, forcing Windu to work harder than in most sparring matches. Linda faced Aayla Secura in a match that became legendary among observers. The Spartan sniper used her SRS-99 training rifle like a precision instrument, firing single shots from varying distances while constantly repositioning. Aayla, a master of Form 4 acrobatic combat, used incredible mobility to close distance while deflecting shots. The match lasted nearly 10 minutes, longer than any other, before Linda landed 3 hits through probability calculations and patience that exceeded even Jedi meditation discipline. "I've never," Aayla admitted afterward, visibly impressed, "faced an opponent who could predict my movements without using the Force. How did you know where I'd land after each jump?" "Physics," Linda replied with characteristic brevity. "Your mass, jump angle, and velocity determine landing position. I calculated probable landing zones and pre-fired. Standard anti-aerial target protocols." "Physics," Aayla repeated, then laughed. "I've spent years mastering the Force to enhance my combat abilities. You've mastered mathematics and achieved similar results. I don't know whether to be insulted or amazed." "Be both," Kelly suggested, earning a grin from the Twi'lek Jedi. Phase 3 began. Combined tactical exercises. The holographic emitters activated, creating a simulated scenario, a Republic facility under attack by Separatist forces. Mixed teams of Jedi and Spartans had to defend the position against waves of holographic battle droids that could deliver painful but non-lethal feedback if they scored hits. Chief found himself working alongside Anakin, with Ahsoka and Fred forming the second fire team. The contrast in styles was immediate. Anakin charged forward with lightsaber blazing, deflecting simulated blaster bolts while cutting through droids with Jedi aggression. Chief provided covering fire, his MA-5D dropping targets before they could surround Anakin, while his motion tracker called out flanking threats the Jedi's Force senses might miss. "Contact left, 15 meters, Chief called. Anakin spun, his lightsaber intercepting a super battle droid that had emerged from cover. "Thanks, I sensed it but couldn't get there fast enough." "Your Force precognition identifies threats," Chief observed, firing controlled bursts. "But your response time is still limited by physical movement. You need fire support to engage threats outside your immediate radius." "Yeah, I'm getting that," Anakin admitted, using Force push to clear a cluster of droids. "Usually, I work with clone troopers who can't keep up with my speed. Having someone who moves as fast as I do and shoots even better. This is incredible." The synergy developed rapidly. Jedi provided mobility and close-quarters dominance that Spartans couldn't match. Spartans provided ranged firepower and tactical awareness that complemented Jedi precognition. Together, the mixed teams cleared the simulated scenario with efficiency that impressed observers from both organizations. "This is what the UNSC does," Commander Palmer explained to assembled Jedi who'd never witnessed this level of coordination. "We train different specialists, Spartans, ODSTs, Marines, to work together, complementing each other's strengths and covering weaknesses. Your Jedi operate more independently, relying on individual Force abilities. Imagine if you trained Jedi to work in coordinated fire teams, with clone support optimized for their specific capabilities." "We've always emphasized individual mastery," Mace Windu admitted, considering the implications. The Jedi way is personal development and connection to the Force, but perhaps we've neglected tactical coordination. Master Chief's team operates like one organism. They anticipate each other's actions, communicate constantly, and adapt formations in real time. That's training, not force ability. Decades of training, Chief corrected, overhearing the conversation as the exercise concluded. Blue team has fought together for 40 years. That builds coordination no technique can replicate quickly, but the principles can be taught. Tactical communication, role specialization, mutual support doctrine. If you're interested, we could share those training methods. We're very interested, Obi-Wan said, and the other Jedi Masters nodded agreement. What you've demonstrated today has been humbling in the best way. We came into this believing the Force made us superior combatants. You've proven that skill, technology, and teamwork can match or exceed Force abilities in many circumstances. That's a lesson the Jedi Order needs to learn. The training exercises continued for another 3 hours. More sparring matches, tactical scenarios, and eventually friendly competitions that built camaraderie between warriors who respected each other's capabilities. By the time the session concluded, Jedi and Spartans had developed mutual respect that transcended their different origins. But not everyone viewed the demonstration positively. In the shadows of the observation deck, hidden from most attention through careful positioning and muted Force presence, a robed figure watched with growing concern. Darth Sidious, disguised as Senator Palpatine, conducting routine temple business, had observed every moment of the training exercises, and what he'd seen troubled him deeply. These Spartans were dangerous, not just individually, but as a concept. They proved that Force users weren't unique, that technology and training could replicate or exceed Jedi capabilities. And most troubling of all, they operated completely outside the Force's sight. His precognition couldn't predict them. His manipulation couldn't easily influence them. They were variables he couldn't control. Variables needed to be eliminated or brought under control, and Sidious was already calculating how to accomplish both. As the Jedi and Spartans concluded their training with expressions of mutual respect and plans for continued cooperation, Darth Sidious departed the temple with the beginnings of a new strategy forming. The UNSC thought they could remain neutral, could navigate this war without choosing sides, but Sidious would ensure they faced choices that made neutrality impossible. He would create scenarios where the Spartans' principles forced them into positions that served his ultimate plans. And if they proved too dangerous to manipulate or control, then he would orchestrate their destruction with the same cold calculation he'd used to engineer the Clone Wars themselves. Because in Darth Sidious's galaxy, only two choices existed: serve his purposes or be eliminated. The Spartans would learn that lesson soon enough. The office of Supreme Chancellor Palpatine occupied one of Coruscant's most prestigious locations, the Senate Executive Building's highest level, with panoramic windows overlooking the galactic capital's endless cityscape. Today, those windows served as backdrop for a meeting that would determine whether the UNSC remained neutral observers in the Clone Wars or became active participants in galactic destiny. Captain Lasky sat across from Chancellor Palpatine, with Commander Palmer standing at tactical position near the door and AI Roland monitoring through Lasky's personal comm unit. The Chancellor appeared every bit the weary statesman, grandfatherly features lined with concern, robes of office worn with dignity, and eyes that held decades of political experience. Behind that facade, Darth Sidious calculated probabilities and manipulations with Sith precision. Captain Lasky, Palpatine began with warmth that seemed genuine. "Thank you for accepting my invitation. I wanted to speak with you personally, away from military protocols and Jedi oversight. What I have to discuss requires discretion." "I'm listening," Lasky replied neutrally, his command instincts immediately suspicious of anyone who wanted to talk away from oversight. "The Republic owes your UNSC a debt of gratitude," Palpatine continued. "Your forces evacuated thousands of civilians on Christophsis, captured General Grievous, and demonstrated combat capabilities that have given our military new insights into effective tactics. The Jedi speak highly of your Spartans' professionalism and skill. You've been model allies despite claiming neutrality." "We're not allies," Lasky corrected carefully. "We're humanitarian actors providing assistance to civilians caught in your war. There's a distinction." Of course," Palpatine acknowledged with understanding that felt slightly rehearsed. "But I wonder, Captain, how long can neutrality truly last? You've seen the Separatists' brutality firsthand. Their droid armies shell population centers. Their leadership seeks to fragment the Republic and impose autocratic rule across captured territories. Count Dooku is a Sith Lord, a practitioner of dark mystical arts dedicated to domination through power. These are not political opponents to be negotiated with. They're existential threats to democracy itself." "The Separatists claim they're fighting against Republic corruption," Lasky countered, testing Palpatine's response to opposing arguments. "They say core worlds exploit outer rim systems, that the Senate is controlled by corporate interests, and that peaceful reform proved impossible. Are those claims entirely fabricated?" Palpatine's expression shifted, just briefly, to something harder before returning to grandfatherly concern. "Every political movement has grievances, Captain. Some legitimate, many exaggerated for propaganda purposes. Yes, the Republic has flaws. Show me any government that doesn't. But the solution to imperfect democracy isn't violent secession and droid armies. It's reform through proper democratic channels, which the Separatists claim they tried for decades before the war started," Roland interjected through Lasky's comm, his AI voice audible to Palpatine. "I've analyzed Senate records going back 50 years, Chancellor. Outer Rim systems filed thousands of grievances about taxation without representation, ignored infrastructure needs, and corporate exploitation. Most of those grievances were tabled in committee or voted down by core world blocs. The Separatist movement didn't emerge from nowhere. It grew from genuine frustration with Republic responsiveness." Palpatine's eyes flickered with annoyance at the AI's intervention, but he maintained his diplomatic composure. "Your artificial intelligence makes fair points. The Republic has been slow to address Outer Rim concerns, a failing I've attempted to correct throughout my chancellorship. But slow reform is preferable to violent revolution. The Separatists chose war over patience, and that choice has cost billions of lives." "The Republic also chose war," Lasky observed. "You mobilized a clone army and deployed Jedi as generals. Both sides escalated toward total conflict rather than pursuing diplomatic solutions." "Because Dooku made diplomacy impossible," Palpatine's voice rose slightly. Calculated passion, Lasky suspected. He orchestrated the assassination of Republic senators, funded terrorist attacks on civilian infrastructure, and allied with corporate interests more ruthless than anything in the Republic Senate. "We defended ourselves against aggression we didn't initiate." "Respectfully, Chancellor," Lasky said, his tone remaining professional despite growing skepticism. "That's one perspective on complex events. From what we've observed, both sides claim the others started hostilities. Both sides have committed atrocities, and both sides seem more interested in victory than peace. That's why we maintain neutrality, because we don't have enough understanding of root causes to determine who's genuinely in the right." Palpatine leaned back, his expression showing what appeared to be disappointment. I had hoped, Captain, that seeing Separatist brutality firsthand would clarify moral lines. But I respect your position, truly. However, I asked for this meeting because neutrality is about to become significantly more difficult for your forces. How so? Intelligence reports indicate the Separatists are planning a major offensive against Coruscant itself. Palpatine stated gravely, a direct assault on the Republic capital, targeting civilian population centers and government facilities. Millions could die if they succeed. The Republic fleet will defend, of course, but we're stretched thin across multiple fronts. Your Infinity represents significant combat capability that could tip the balance of such an engagement. Lasky's expression remained neutral, but internally, his command instincts screamed warnings. This was the manipulation he'd been expecting. Create a crisis that forced UNSC involvement, then leverage that involvement into formal alliance. Classic political maneuvering. If the Separatists attack Coruscant, Lasky replied carefully, and civilians are threatened, UNSC protocols would require us to provide evacuation support and protect non-combatants. But that doesn't mean engaging in ship-to-ship combat or ground assault operations. Our humanitarian mandate has limits. Even if millions die because you withheld capabilities that could have prevented their deaths, Palpatine challenged, his voice carrying moral weight that felt practiced. Captain, I'm not asking you to conquer Separatist territory or pursue offensive operations. I'm asking if you'll help defend innocent civilians when they face imminent slaughter. Is that not consistent with your humanitarian principles? It was a masterful argument, Lasky admitted internally. Frame UNSC involvement as civilian protection rather than military alliance. Make refusal seem like abandoning innocents to die. Palpatine was skilled at this. Decades of political experience showed in how he positioned his requests. We'll evaluate any crisis situation based on immediate circumstances, Lasky stated, refusing to commit. If Coruscant comes under attack and civilians need protection, we'll respond according to UNSC doctrine. But we won't be drawn into offensive operations or strategic military alliance beyond that specific scenario. Is that clear? Perfectly clear, Palpatine replied, though something in his tone suggested he'd gotten exactly what he wanted. I appreciate your honesty, Captain, and I hope, when the moment comes, your humanitarian principles prove as strong as your commitment to neutrality. The meeting concluded with diplomatic pleasantries that felt hollow to Lasky. As he and Palmer departed the Chancellor's office, neither spoke until they were secure in their Pelican transport and headed back to the Infinity. That was a setup, Palmer stated flatly once they were airborne. Absolutely, Lasky agreed. Palpatine wanted us to commit to defending Coruscant. He framed it as humanitarian necessity, but the underlying goal was getting us involved in direct combat operations. The question is whether there really is a Separatist attack planned, or if he's manufacturing a crisis to force our hand. Roland? Palmer prompted. Analysis? The AI's avatar appeared on the Pelican's display, his RAF officer appearance thoughtful. I've been monitoring Republic and Separatist military communications since the meeting began. No intelligence indicates a major Coruscant offensive. Separatist fleet positions don't support such an operation. They're dispersed across Outer Rim holdings, engaged in defensive operations after recent Republic gains. If Palpatine has intelligence suggesting an imminent attack, it's not reflected in our observable military movements. So he's either working from intelligence sources we can't access, Lasky reasoned, or he's lying about the threat to create justification for UNSC involvement. There's a third option, Roland suggested. He could be planning to orchestrate an attack himself, create the crisis he claims to be warning us about, then point to it as evidence he was right, and we should have listened. Palmer's expression darkened. That's conspiracy theory territory, Roland. Why would a Republic chancellor orchestrate an attack on his own capital? To consolidate power, the AI replied. It's a classic authoritarian strategy. Create or exaggerate external threats. Position yourself as the only leader capable of addressing them, and use emergency powers to bypass democratic constraints. Palpatine has accumulated significant emergency authorities during the Clone Wars. A direct attack on Coruscant would justify even more. Lasky considered the AI's analysis. It sounded paranoid, the kind of political conspiracy that intelligence analysts sometimes constructed from insufficient data. But Roland wasn't prone to wild speculation. His conclusions were based on pattern analysis and probability assessment that exceeded human intuition. Keep monitoring, Lasky ordered, both Republic and Separatist communications. If there's an attack coming from either side, I want advance warning. And brief, Master Chief. If we're walking into a political trap, Spartans need to be ready for rapid extraction if things turn hostile. In the Spartan ready room aboard the Infinity, Master Chief received Roland's briefing with the tactical focus that had defined 40 years of military operations. Blue Team gathered around the holographic display, showing Coruscant's defensive positions, Republic fleet deployments, and potential attack vectors for a hypothetical Separatist assault. Palpatine is manipulating us, Fred summarized after the briefing concluded, creating scenarios where our humanitarian principles force involvement in the war, standard political warfare, exploit opponents' values against them. We've seen it before, Kelly agreed. Insurrectionist cells would hide among civilian populations, knowing UNSC couldn't use overwhelming force without collateral damage. Same principle, larger scale. If the Separatists do attack, Linda asked, do we intervene? Protecting civilians is doctrine, but intervening in space combat means choosing sides militarily, not just humanitarianly. Chief considered the question through multiple analytical frameworks: tactical, strategic, moral, and practical. We maintain our principles, he decided. If civilians are threatened, we extract them. If civilian population centers are targeted, we defend them. But we don't engage in offensive operations or pursue separatist forces beyond immediate threat radius. Defensive posture only. That's a fine line, Fred observed. In combat, defensive and offensive blur together quickly. Fire on a separatist ship threatening civilians, and suddenly we're engaged in the space battle, whether we intended it or not. Then we're engaged, Chief stated simply. Spartans don't abandon civilians because the situation is complicated. We adapt, we prioritize, and we complete the mission. If that means temporary military involvement to protect innocents, we accept that consequence and manage the political fallout afterward. Captain Lasky might not agree with that assessment, Kelly noted. He's responsible for the entire Infinity, not just ground operations. Committing the ship to combat has different implications than Spartans deploying to protect civilian populations. Which is why I'll brief him on our position, Chief confirmed. Let command make strategic decisions. Blue Team's responsibility is tactical execution. If we're deployed to protect civilians, we'll do exactly that, with maximum efficiency and minimum collateral damage. A priority alert interrupted the discussion. Roland's avatar appeared with uncharacteristic urgency. All personnel, battle stations, unidentified fleet contacts emerging from hyperspace. Multiple Separatist signatures, 6 Providence-class carriers, 20 Munificent-class frigates, and what appears to be the Separatist flagship Invisible Hand. They're launching droid fighters and moving toward Coruscant's orbital defense grid. The attack Palpatine warned about is happening now. The Infinity's klaxons blared as the crew scrambled to combat stations. On the bridge, Captain Lasky watched tactical displays fill with hostile contacts that shouldn't exist. The Separatist fleet had appeared without warning, bypassing Republic sensor networks through methods intelligence couldn't explain. "This is too convenient," Lasky stated, his suspicions from the earlier meeting now crystallized into certainty. "Palpatine warns us about an attack hours before it happens. Either he has incredibly good intelligence or he knew about it in advance because he helped plan it," Roland completed grimly. "Captain, I'm detecting unusual communication patterns, encrypted transmissions between the Separatist fleet and a source on Coruscant, specifically from the Senate Executive Building where Palpatine's office is located." "The Chancellor is communicating with the enemy fleet?" Palmer demanded, joining Lasky on the bridge. "That's treason." "Or it's coordination," Roland replied. "Sir, I think we've stumbled into something significantly larger than a civil war. Palpatine may be playing both sides, Republic Chancellor and Separatist coordinator. This entire war could be orchestrated by the same being." The implication hung in the air for precisely 2 seconds before training overrode shock. "Proof later, tactical response now," Lasky ordered. "Roland, transmit our findings to Jedi Temple Command. They need to know their Chancellor might be compromised. Palmer, deploy all Spartan fire teams to evacuation duty. Protect civilian shelters and establish extraction zones. And get me Master Chief on comms. If we're going into combat, I want our best leading the ground operation." "Already here," Chief's voice came from the bridge entrance. Blue Team had arrived in full combat loadout, weapons ready, armor charged. "What are your orders, sir?" Lasky studied the tactical display, showing Separatist forces engaging Republic orbital defenses while droid dropships headed towards the planet's surface. Millions of civilians were about to be caught in a battle zone. The UNSC's humanitarian principles were clear, but so were the political implications of what they were about to do. "Orders are simple, Chief," Lasky stated. "Protect the civilians. Whatever else happens in this battle, whatever political games Palpatine is playing, whatever manipulation we're caught in, we don't let innocents die if we can prevent it. That's what Spartans do. That's what the UNSC stands for. So get down there and show this galaxy what happens when you threaten civilians around humanity's protectors." Master Chief's acknowledgement was simple, carrying the weight of 4 decades of similar moments. "Understood. Spartans are moving. We'll hold the line." As Blue Team deployed toward the surface with the full complement of Infinity's Spartan force behind them, Captain Lasky made a decision that would define UNSC involvement in the Clone Wars. All batteries target Separatist capital ships. Mac rounds, full power. Show them what happens when they attack civilian populations around a UNSC warship. Fire at will. The Infinity's 4 massive magnetic accelerator cannons charged with power that made the ship's hull vibrate. Each weapon could hurl a 3,000-ton slug of tungsten at 4% the speed of light, kinetic energy equivalent to nuclear weapons, but focused into penetrating impacts that no known shield could fully stop. The first salvo fired and 4 streaks of relativistic metal crossed the space between Infinity and the Separatist fleet in seconds. 2 Mac rounds struck a Providence-class carrier. The first penetrated its shields like they weren't there, punching completely through the ship's kilometer-long hull. The second struck at a slightly different angle, and the kinetic energy transfer was so extreme that the entire vessel broke apart in a catastrophic explosion that consumed 3 nearby frigates. Across every tactical display in both fleets, Alarm signals screamed as commanders realized what had just entered the battle. The UNSC had chosen a side, and the Clone Wars would never be the same. The Battle of Coruscant raged for 6 hours, but the outcome was determined in the first 6 minutes. The UNSC Infinity's overwhelming firepower shattered Separatist formations, while Spartans on the ground established defensive perimeters that battle droids couldn't penetrate. Master Chief coordinated with Jedi generals, combining kinetic weapons and force abilities into tactical superiority that neither faction had anticipated. But victory came with complications. Roland's evidence of communication between Palpatine and Separatist forces sparked investigations that would take months to unravel. The Republic Senate divided over UNSC involvement, some grateful for salvation, others suspicious of foreign military power. The Separatists recognized the Infinity as a threat that conventional forces couldn't defeat, forcing strategic recalculation across their entire war effort. And Captain Lasky faced the reality that neutrality had ended the moment Mac rounds fired. The UNSC was now a player in galactic politics, whether they wanted to be or not. Master Chief stood amid the aftermath, surveying a city saved but a mission complicated beyond original parameters. Getting home would now require navigating not just dimensional physics, but galactic intrigue that made Covenant politics look straightforward. But Spartans never quit. They adapted, they endured, and they found ways forward when none seemed to exist. This galaxy would learn that lesson firsthand. May the Force be with you. More stories await.